Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to this exciting TV broadcast. We'll see you tomorrow, the day after that, and the day after that, because that's the way we broadcast news, and that's the way you consume entertainment. Won't change anytime soon. For the Mitt TV, I'm Tim Meyer. Tim Meyer.
You, Tim Meyer.
I said Tim Meyer.
They said you were coming.
What they say true?
See for yourself.
What's this?
They call it a podcast studio.
What the heck's a podcast studio?
It's a studio for podcasting. Superior sound, visuals, allowing the viewer to either watch or listen for an intimate experience of long-form content.
Long-form content?
Without any restrictions from any cable or network provider, there's no telling how long it can be.
Is it affordable?
You have no idea.
What's he doing?
You found him here in the studio. Recent college graduate trying to start a podcast with his friends after debating the existence of God in women's sports.
How come I can't hear him?
Stephenville's is spying us through the intergalactic satellite system. Also buy my merch with my special creator code.
How long before this becomes accessible?
It already has.
If you or someone you know is looking to start a podcast for business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. With hourly rates starting as low as $1.60 an hour, the Mitt TV grants access to state-of-the-art podcast studio, allowing you to record perfect audio, amazing video for your audience. Contact the Mitt TV today at mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com. This job stinks.
So,
not more when the fourth.
Don't you call more important?
well, does it look almost?
Ooh. Yo, this is Kowalski with the Mitt TV. How we doing?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
How can I help you today?
I'm trying to watch the Mitt TV
That's awesome. Where are you trying to watch the Mitt TV at?
on my TV.
Perfect.
Let me break it down for you.
Yeah!
Here at the Mitt TV, we offer a whole slew of content, from community events, Romeo Community Schools, sports, and everyone's favorite, the Village of Romeo board meetings. Just find the YouTube app and in the search bar type at the Mitt TV. Once you find our channel, you can go to the videos tab for our entire catalog of videos.
What if I'm trying to watch something live?
It is so easy you have no idea. Just click the live tab to find all previous and upcoming live streams.
I see that, but I'm trying to watch an archived Village of Romeo Board of Trustees meeting.
Whoa, alright, board meetings! For any and all archived meetings, select the playlist tab. Not only will you find all meetings for the Village of Romeo organized by year, but you'll also find Romeo Community Schools and Romeo District Library. Our Mitt TV page can also be accessed on your smartphone. Just download and open the YouTube app and type at the Mitt TV in the search bar, and there you go. Or if you're on a computer, find the search bar at the top of your window and type youtube.com/@themitttv.
Sweet.
Another satisfied customer.
The regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Trustees of Romeo.
Sick.
Would you all please stand?
Our Board of Trustees meeting for April 21st, 2025 at 7 p.m. Could you please, let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, could you please call the roll?
Bartholomew.
Here.
Edwards.
Here.
Fowler.
Yes.
Care. Here. Parker.
Present.
Rosso. President Poznansky.
Here. Okay, moving on. Can we have an approval of the agenda?
If I could, before we get into the agenda, I do have a question. It was brought to my attention. I brought it to Clerk Lucero on Friday. Our posting for this meeting is stated for next week, as posted on Village Hall window, at least as of 8 p.m. on Friday night. Some concerns were raised about having this meeting ahead of time. I think we discussed last month, and then I think we discussed in December also, which I think traditionally we schedule meeting dates as the fiscal year. This year, I think we did it in December, but yet it was not posted 3 days after that. So I don't feel that we can technically have this meeting as a regular scheduled meeting.
Well, and Clerk Lucero did receive her phone call, and he spoke with Mr. Clark. So, Mr. Clark, if you could address why we are here.
I can. The Open Meetings Act requires you as a public body to post an annual calendar or schedule of your meetings. It can be done on a calendar basis at the beginning of the year, or it can be done on a fiscal year basis, but still for the entire year. So I don't mean to answer a question with a question, but is the question whether it was initially properly posted?
So initially, in July of last year, we scheduled the meeting for April 28th.
Okay.
December, I'll take that as there was a change made to the 21st as the day, but it was not posted.
All right, and was there in fact a change? And again, I'm not trying.
Well, there was a new calendar of meetings.
You're speaking of two separate calendars, though.
No,
I just
talking
want to
about the
make sure
regular
I'm
schedule.
opining about the right
There's
thing.
a meeting schedule,
So
and
we
then
got
there's a
confusion.
holiday schedule. The holiday schedule.
I understand that. So we went through the holiday schedule in December. Did we go through the meetings also? I thought we had noticed that there was the meetings also in the December packet.
Yep. Okay, but was there an...
Last July, or June, July, I can't remember the exact date, as posted on Village Hall window, that says village meeting dates.
Okay, let me step back and trying to answer the question accurately. I want to make sure I have all the information. So in June or July, using the fiscal year, because the village's fiscal year goes from July 1 to June 30th. So in the fiscal year, is that when the 12-month schedule of meetings was made?
Yeah, and it's posted, notice of regular scheduled meetings for 24-25 fiscal year.
Okay.
Board of Trustees is stated as April 28, 2025.
Okay, and so at that point in time, the meeting's scheduled for April 28th. After that, was there any change of the meeting date?
The only thing that I could find was in December. I don't know if there was a motion made at that meeting to change it, which it would have had to have been, and then it would have had to have been posted within 3 days of that meeting.
Okay, what about last month? What about at March?
There was a discussion that I questioned that we had this meeting on the 21st.
Okay.
Because I thought we had moved it to the 28th.
Okay.
There was no motion made, nothing said about changing it.
Okay, so there was discussion, but no action.
No action.
Okay, so then the 28th of April would have stood. So the question then becomes, was that, and I don't want to get into the weeds, but I want to make sure I'm opining about the right thing. And so when the meeting was set on April the 28th, that was done for a particular reason or purpose. And the reason I ask is because, as you all know, traditionally, and I I realize tradition can be cast by the wayside, but the village council has always met on the third Monday of the month.
Unless there's a holiday, and we were
Right,
unsure
unless
at that time in
President's
July
Day,
if
Martin
they were
Luther
gonna
King Day.
recognize Easter
Right,
Monday.
right.
Right, and if I may, I made that calendar. At that point in time, think back to June, we were without a clerk. And that is the time that we make that calendar. So I went into the computer, worked off an old schedule. I misprinted. Instead of 21, I did 28. I would even point out that on the calendar, there's an asterisk, and it says, if next to a date, it's changed to the 4th because of a holiday. April doesn't have that asterisk. I did not intend to move it for a holiday. Our holiday calendar has Good Friday, and now that the office is open on Friday, and this is what I said last month, in my head, it's always been that. There was no need to take Monday
I'm not
off.
trying to throw blame or fault at anyone, it's just, that's what was approved in July, and that's what was posted on the window.
Well, and this was posted Thursday, just like, so it was posted by Friday.
But per the OMA, I think it's section 3 of that section,
The-
talks about posting
yes.
within 3 days of a change.
The Open Meetings Act, as I mentioned at the outset, requires the publishing of the annual schedule of meetings. You can change that at another meeting, and so then, that's why I've asked the questions to try to determine whether there was a change at a subsequent meeting. If the answer is no, there was not a change, then, and let me go sideways for a minute. If there had been a change, as you mentioned, Mr. Parker, there would have to be a publication of the new date within 3 days. But if there wasn't a change, then we don't need to get into whether it was within 3 days or whatever the schedule was. The next section, which may apply, although it may cloud the issue more than it addresses clarity, it says that a rescheduled meeting or a special meeting of the public body, a public notice stating the date, time, and place of the meeting must be posted within 18 hours. So the question then becomes, was this meeting, or is this meeting subjected to that? It was published 18 hours before.
The agenda. But if you go up to section 3 in that same section.
Yes, so the question is, the question is, if you proceed with the meeting, on the face of it, I believe there was sufficient public notice, but it doesn't, as you've pointed out, Mr. Parker, it doesn't address the specific language in Section 3 of the Open Meetings Act. And so if you proceed, the question becomes, if you proceed, if somebody's aggrieved, they can challenge everything you do here. And so while I'd like to say it's more clear than this, or it's more black and white, no gray areas, no fuzz, none of that, I'd like to be able to say that, but quite honestly, the question becomes, if you proceed, is somebody going to challenge it? And if they do, you may have difficulty defending it. So your risk is you proceed, because I believe there was adequate notice. I mean, these people and other people apparently have received the notice or done enough to decide to be here, but there may be those who aren't, sitting at home going, geez, I was going to come on the 28th, and what are they doing here on the 21st? And so the risk is, whatever you do tonight, if it's challenged, it may be difficult to defend. And so my thought is, you can proceed knowing the risk, or you can say, no, we don't want to take the risk, because as a body, you trustees get to decide when you're going to have your meetings. So if you say, as a body, we don't want to take the risk, let's adjourn to the 28th, that's your prerogative. That's your ability within your power to do that. As long as you know what the risk is, the decision is yours.
Should go on record.
So what would board like to do?
Proceed with the meeting. You need a motion? A motion to postpone? Is that where we're at? I'll make that motion. Motion to postpone, but let's see, can we go through part of the?
No, it's
The whole thing?
All or nothing. It's an all or nothing. The meeting is either appropriate or it's inappropriate. You can't pick and choose among the agenda items. items.
Yeah, I made a mistake with the wrong date,
We need to go
put in
on
the
that.
wrong number.
Based on some of the topics on here, I would second your motion, Zach.
Yeah, you need to go on record.
I would prefer to postpone. I happen to know that many of these people in the room tonight are here because of this conversation happening over the weekend. They would not have been here. So that says to me that it's important for them to be heard, and maybe there's other people that wanted to be here and still believe it's next week. But I think everyone should have a chance, and so I would be inclined to postpone.
Yeah, eliminates the legality part which Mark was talking about.
I don't know, I feel like we have people here to do presentations, we have a lot of staff here for issues, everybody's here. Any issue on here, granted, a person might not be here to speak, but they have representation on their topic. I feel like there's enough that's gone into it that I would like to proceed with the meeting.
So what is the motion on the floor?
Yes.
What is it?
Motion to postpone the meeting to the 28th.
And it was seconded?
Yes.
Motion made by Fowler,
Is there a motion
support
by
by Parker.
Fowler, support by Parker?
Let's do a roll call.
Could you call the roll, please?
Yes.
Unless, hold on, is there any more discussion?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Edwards,
No.
Rosso,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Care,
No.
Bartholomew,
No.
Parker,
Yes.
President Poznanski.
No.
Motion fails 3-4.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support?
We have a motion by Care, support by Bartholomew. Do we have any discussion for the agenda items? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed?
One.
We have a Parker opposed. Moving into our minutes for March 17th, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for March 17th, 2025 as presented.
Support.
We have a motion by Edwards, support by Care. Is there any discussion?
Just on page 3, number 5, it said Bartholomew made a motion to pay the bills, and then it said President Poznanski support, and I think that should have been Matt Edwards said support. And not a big deal, but.
Where's
I just
this on,
noticed
Nate?
it. Page 3?
Number 5?
Yeah, just a minor.
Okay, can we verify that?
I have it on 5. Oh, that was a typo. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay.
The spot where people are talking, I can amend that.
Okay, not a
Because
biggie.
the overall resolution below
Yeah, it
it,
still has Edwards
Edwards
as
and
the support.
Bartholomew. But yeah, I
All
can,
right, thank you, that's all I have.
yeah, I can change that.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Do we have any opposed? We have
2.
Parker and Rousseau opposed. Okay, and we will have bills, whatever date further on into our meeting that we put for next week's budget meeting, we will have bills ready for that. So that way, it's not too far out.
So will we have the discussion then, or should I ask the questions now?
You can, they're not all, this is just credit card. I made sure I put in what we had.
Okay.
So,
I'll wait for all of them
Okay.
because it might answer it.
with that in mind, do you want these credit card statements also included into that packet, or is you're referencing this from this meeting enough?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our special presentation, we have our DDA slot. Who's here for the DDA?
So first, the DDA wants to thank the board for allowing us to be able to give these presentations monthly going forward. So I've got just a handful of items that we're going to talk about that we went over at our last meeting. So the first item is wayfinding and attraction strategy. So the DDA seeking to spur economic development and promote local businesses, improve navigation, and enhance its identity and overall visitor experience by developing and implementing a comprehensive attraction strategy. A first conceptual design has been approved. We are working on design samples, costs, and an implementation plan. Our goal is to have our conceptual plans and engineering reports, analytics, and application ready to submit to SEMCOG by June 2025. The DDA has added a special projects tab to our website in order to provide more visibility to the community and allow them to walk through the entire project as we make progress. All conceptual designs and strategies are currently available on our site. Additionally, the DDA, in working to come up with our strategy and our action plans, with POW Strategies, POW Strategies was contracted to guide us and our board through the development of a 5-year strategy and action plan. Strategy was presented and adopted by the DDA board at this month's meeting, and we are engaging currently to complete those action items. Additionally, the DDA Executive Office has adopted a CRM called District 360 to collect, organize, update, and keep records of critical data. This data includes business, vendors, building owners, stakeholder contact information, as well as documented history of all communications. The communication includes email, phone, text, drip marketing campaigns, contracts, and daily and monthly touch points. Having a central contact management system is crucial in developing relationships and providing a single reliable source of information for the entire DDA board and the organization as a whole. The next step include uploading all of our current contacts along with a full building inventory is being completed. Next, the DDA discussed the social district. So we recognize that the social districts are a tool to improve opportunities, attract people, and new businesses to our downtown. A social district promotes unity within the business district and safeguards against potential economic decline, especially during shutdowns or other restricting events. During COVID, legislation in Michigan changed to allow the consumption of alcoholic beverages in common areas or areas confined to having open alcohol outside in seating areas and between businesses within the confines of a bordered established district. So we are currently in the process of preparing those documents, presenting to the required boards. Like any other permit, the licensees must qualify. The MLCC will consider violation history. We have 4 potential licensees interested in participating: Peach's Brunch House, Younger's, Main Street Bar and Grill, or I'm sorry, Main Street Kitchen and Bar, and JL's. So they are all on board. At the last Village Council meeting, the Village Council had asked the DDA if we were interested in rejoining the parking committee study, and at this time the board has opted not to rejoin. We will continue to manage and monitor the program on your behalf. Next is our multimodal streetscape conceptual planning services. In an effort to improve the walkability and the multimodal options along Main Street, as well as connecting to the trail, a request for quotes was made by architectural firms to develop conceptual plans and a budget that then can be used for 2 potential grants, and the DDA has been exploring with the Florida County Community Foundation. Giffords Webster team is actively working on the public engagement section of our contract and will conclude on May 1st, 2025. They conducted a walkabout with the DDA executive team last week to discuss possible solutions and hear what our greatest needs are. Next, we are working on our art plan. The Girl Scouts have joined the DDA in partnership with the art mural project located in Parker Alley. This project will consist of 3 aluminum panels. The art plan concludes conceptual designs, budget, location, and management plan has been completed. The T-Mobile grant application has been submitted and we're waiting approval. Spring decor, Just Goes is scheduled to deliver spring flowers on May 23rd to Vans Valley for installation. DDA director is conducting a pre-installation walkthrough with Vans Valley on May 5th in order to make sure everything is installed correctly. The DDA, Village of Romeo, and North Macomb Regional Chamber have partnered with Velocity of Macomb County to deliver roadshow events covering small business marketing and grant funding to our local business community. We are holding our second event on May 6th at the library from 5 to 8. We have already heard of DDA businesses that are taking advantage of grant funding through this collaboration. So those are the events and the programs that we worked on at our or we've been working on and were approved by the board at our last meeting. If there's any questions or any information?
Yeah, the social district. I know we had looked at it, and honestly, we here, another entity, looked into it in the past, and I think we talked about it a little bit too, has it changed? Can we cross the roadways now?
Yeah, that's our understanding. We're in the process of doing all the paperwork and getting everything lined up for full presentation, but it looks like we are able to.
Oh, wow,
Yep.
that's cool.
Yep.
Chief, can I ask, have you ever had experience with social districts?
I have not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Andrea.
you.
Okay, moving into correspondence.
That's awesome.
Nothing asked to be read for correspondence. And moving into public comment. This is the time for the public to speak. You have 3 minutes at the podium to speak about anything you would like. There is another public comment at the end if you don't speak now. You have the floor.
I don't think I need to say how I feel about the paid parking. I'm hoping that it's something that will be addressed and taken away. And I've said this before, I think at this point, I'm not sure why the DDA keeps defending this and keeps wanting to walk down the road of, saying we need this. They did their job. They should be walking away from it at this point and just giving it over to you. And so I hope that you do careful consideration of what your residents think. The one thing I do want to bring up, though, is social districting. I was at the DDA meeting when I first heard of this, and I have to say, I've got some cousins who live up in Almont where they have implemented this, and it's not going well at all. The only people who like it are the bars and the customers, patrons of the bars, who tend to overdrink now. And it's not only endorsing public drinking, but just over drinking as well, and gives a whole new level of policing that ends up needing to be done. So I really hope that we can give that some real hard thought before going down that road, because guess what else happens? Marijuana is legal. People are starting to smoke in public. Not that I want to have my little nieces and nephews walking down the street with me when people are smoking and drinking in public, but that's what's going to happen. And people are, in Almont, ask any of the businesses up there, people are walking into some of the stores, the jewelry shop, the t-shirt shop, with drinks, thinking that they can be drinking in public. Now, hey, I love to have a drink or two, but I'm really hopeful that you'll give this some real thoughtful consideration. Thank you.
Before you start, could you just state your name?
Sharon Smith, 377 North Main.
Clerk Lucero, is it required that we say names and addresses? Sometimes I feel that hinders people from feeling secure at the podium.
It's a best practice. It's not.
I don't think you have to give the address, but just being a resident.
You don't have to. I just
No.
went through.
Can you turn your mic down, please?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
I thought I had it on. Sorry. You don't have to. It's a best practice for tracking and records keeping, but you don't have to. You can't stop anybody from talking if they don't want to share where they live or anything, or even announce who they are. It's
Right, at least a
it's just
first name, I
wide-
suppose, if we're all comfortable
Yeah.
with that. And I refer to Clerk Lucero because he is the, parliamentarian at the moment for the board and as the clerk. Any more public comment?
Hello, I'm Grace Vinay. I'm the Secretary Treasurer at Starkweather Arts Center since 2013. We are a very nonprofit community arts center on a tight budget. Most of our artists and patrons are senior citizens, except for the current show that we have, which is the student art show. But normally, most of the people that come in and most people that do art are seniors. This parking has disenfranchised our seniors and our volunteers, who are mostly seniors, and many of whom have some level of disability, but not necessarily a handicap sticker. These seniors are telling me they don't want an app on their phone, or they can't put an app on their phone, or they don't know how to put an app on their phone. They don't want to put their credit card on their phone linked to this particular app, or any credit card. I've had instances of husbands driving around the block while their wives come in and picking them up because they don't want to park. I had a lady call me and offer to pay me $1 instead of having to put an app on her phone because she didn't know how to, and she didn't have a phone that could take an app anyway. People are not staying inside Starkweather to visit. They're coming in and out quickly. And this is one of our purposes, is to support local artists. And this interferes with that purpose because they don't want to stay. They don't want to get a ticket. They're afraid to. And they don't, the way we function is we have gallery art shows, several per year, and art has to be dropped off and picked up on a monthly basis. So they can't park 2 blocks away and carry their art in. It's impossible. So a lot of people are telling me they're not going to participate to the level that they have in the past. So I notice in the morning that there's a lot of parking on Main Street till 10 o'clock because people are coming in to get their coffee. After 10 o'clock, empty street. Main Street's just desolate until the evening again. So I think that tells you that people are not wanting to pay the parking. I've had seniors tell me they would be fine, which I know is more expensive, but they would be fine with a meter. They don't have a problem putting a quarter in the meter. I think it's been underestimated how many people that are 50, 60 and older, 70 and older actually come into downtown and use the services. And one final thing is I have friends who come into town quite frequently. They live in town, actually. And if they can walk into town and use restaurants and such, they do. But if the weather's poor, they don't. And they told me the last couple times they've gone out of town to go to eat because of the parking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Floyd Shotwell, for those that don't know me. I used to be in business in this town. I think we're on the road here to the wrong direction by putting in this parking situation. You want to empty out the store, in the downtown area, you're going at it the right way, because that's what's going to happen. You look at Main Street, there's no place to park anywhere behind, and you drive down Main Street today during the day, and there won't be 4 to 5 cars on it because people don't know how to use it. Especially the elderly do not know how to use this credit card deal and the whole works. So truthfully, I would sure like to see this board get away from this. I know you're doing it for the money, but there's other ways to raise money in this town than to do that. That's all I have to say. But please think about it very hard about doing away with the parking meters, okay?
More public comment.
Hello, my name is Barb, and I've lived in Romeo almost my entire life, and I love my town. I am, if anybody knows me well, a big supporter in telling people to come into town, try this restaurant, try this store, in all good conscience. I can't do that anymore without telling them they have to pay to come see our beautiful town. I have a dear friend who has health issues, not a handicap sticker. She's no longer coming into town. She used to do it all the time, but she can't walk. I have a grandson who has special needs. In order for me to bring him into town, I need to park near a building that if he has problems, I can easily carry him out into the car. He's getting big and I can't carry him blocks away anymore to do that. So I'd ask you just to consider this and keep our town like it was.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike from Tech City Electronics. Been right in the middle of downtown with the business for the last 16 years. A lot of the people here on the board and here in the audience been clients and customers, and I appreciate that. I would agree with Chief Floyd. This doesn't look right in this town, the parking app. It doesn't fit how quaint downtown Romeo is. I've been in that Parker building for 16 years now, seeing people coming and going, helping the elderly get into the building. These buildings are over 100 years old. I'm trying to provide a good product and service, be it as it may with the technology. And for somebody now to be on the clock to park their car, it might take them a while to explain to me in the type of business that I'm in, the problems that they're having. And it takes a while to get in, get set up. If they're on the clock or having to think about a parking meter or app, one, they do have difficulty with it. I said this last August when a first meeting that I came to, that a lot of the seniors I know that we've helped over the years are going to have issues or difficulty with this because of these smartphones. They don't, I'm not picking on them, I'm included. They don't like putting an app or know how to easily install an app on their phone, much less do I want my license plate tag number in a national database spread out across the country, only to find out that the information might be compromised. Would the Village of Romeo then be held accountable if I have to file a police report or that my information gets out there? I'm already involved in somebody who fraudulently purchased iPhones last fall on my behalf, acting as me, and had my driver's license number. So I got to stop what I'm doing as a business owner. We're already faced with tariffs and product going up. We're already faced with insurance costs and providing coverage for our employees. We're already faced with a bunch of obstacles just doing business in this town on a physical basis and on a cost basis to keep the doors open. Now you put this on top of it. I'd like to know how many Board of Trustees have a business on Main Street that voted for this parking app. Does anybody here, show of hands, show me that you have a business on Main Street? Otherwise, you put it in place and let it, the chips fall where they may to see if a business will sink or swim with this parking app. It just doesn't fit the downtown atmosphere. It doesn't fit for the residents. It's not working, and it's not the point of the amount of money. It's the principle. It's another obstacle to open our doors and try and help this community do business in this town. It's not working.
Good evening. My name is Marty Hutnick, and I serve on the Downtown Development Authority Board, and I also own a business, Four Corners Diner, in downtown Romeo. I stood up here a few months ago, and I admitted I made an error in voting for the parking meter contract before I fully understood what it meant for this village, and I've spent every day since trying to make that right. At some point, we have to listen to the people in this room. We have to act, and we have to act. The backlash has not died down. In fact, it has grown. Residents are upset, business owners are anxious, and I don't blame them because this plan doesn't reflect who we are as a community. And let me be clear, when we talk about the community, we're not just talking about Romeo residents. People come here from all over, Armada, Washington, Macomb, Almont, to walk our streets, shop our businesses, eat at our restaurants, and take part in our events. And with them, they bring energy, business, and life into Romeo. We just cannot dismiss their voices because they don't live within the borders. If they stop coming, then they stop. If they stop feeling welcome, then we all lose. We keep justifying this plan by saying it'll generate $60,000 a year towards a $6.6 million investment. But how does that make any real impact? That's 1%. And for that 1%, we're risking 100% of the identity of Main Street. We risk pushing away from downtown. We risk discouraging visitors from shopping, stopping, walking, and supporting our local shops. We risk disrespecting the very people who have built this town, this village, with their bare hands, business owners, volunteers, and neighbors. This is about more than money. This is about what it feels like to live here, to visit here, to feel welcome just by being here. If you allow this to move forward now, after everything you've heard from the people, you're not just ignoring them, you're betraying their trust. You can still fix this, there's still time, but it starts with listening and doing what's right, not just what's easy. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Scott McLeod, and I represent the Romeo Against Paid Parking movement. This movement represents over 400 members. It also represents an online petition that has almost 700 supporters, and also a paper petition for those who aren't able to go online, which has 200 signatures. That's over 1,000 people who have gone out of their way to voice their opposition to paid parking in Romeo. Now, you've said that you'd like to wait for the data. Well, here it is. I'm giving it to you. You said that you'd wait to hear angry people in your rooms. For the past 2 months, you've been hearing that, but you're not listening to them. So I'd like to take this time to mention a few things. First, none of you up here run a small business, which relies on business from patrons on a daily basis. And when you make statements like, let us wait for the data to come in, it's obvious you don't understand how a small business works and how they operate. You see, they don't have large bank accounts like large corporations do. In fact, many of them operate on a razor-thin bottom line. And if at the end of the day or at the end of the week or at the end of the month, they don't have patrons coming in and they don't have money coming in, they can't pay their bills. They can't pay their rent. They can't pay their payroll. And then you know who goes without getting paid? The business owner. And then they can't pay their own bills or put food on their own table for their own families. They can't wait for you to gather your data. So while their businesses close, you go on with your days. You still get paid. You still have jobs. But while you're waiting for the data to come in to prove the failing project, their lives are getting destroyed. Second, I'd like to ask you all a question. For those of you who voted to implement the paid parking in Romeo, did you ever even look at the contract? The answer is no. And for those of you watching and those of you here listening, I know this because they voted to implement this project before they even had a company to approve it. They didn't even have a contract. So they approved a contract before reviewing it, before even looking at it. They gave their authority away to implement this disaster. 4 of you gave the authority away to someone else to sign a 3-year contract without you ever seeing the contract. Who does that? Would you run a business that way? Do you run your households that way? I sure hope not. Well, you shouldn't run a village that way. That's a dereliction of duty. For clarification, the 4 who voted for it were Kerr, Poznansky, Edwards, and Bartholomew. Mr. Fowler originally voted for it, but later asked for a reconsideration, and his motion was defeated by those same 4. And third, I'd like to just finish up by reminding you of something that some of you have seemed to have forgotten. And that is that you were elected here and put into your position by your constituents. That means you represent them. You are their representatives. You're not up here to vote the way that you want to vote the way that you feel. You're here to vote the way they feel. You're here to vote the way they want you to vote, not the way you do. Start doing your jobs properly and stop paid parking in Romeo.
Do we have any more public comment? At this point, we will move into our board meeting. There will be another public comment at the end if you would like. Otherwise, the board will commence. Moving into officer reports. Chief, would you like to start us off?
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Okay, let's start.
We're good.
Trustee Fowler.
We're good.
Trustee Kerr.
I'll just save it for when it comes up in the meeting.
Trustee Parker.
Let's touch on planning real quick. This month we did look at capital improvement planning, so we got some information in this month's packet. There was a lot of questions they had. They wanted some information. They talked about or they were questioning if they had any budget available to implement something this so they could help in putting that all together as per requested. But I think when I get them this information, we can go from there in the next month's meeting.
Trustee Rousseau.
This Saturday, the tree board, your Romeo Village Tree Board, who's a very dedicated, fabulous group of people, is putting together an Arbor Day celebration. And actually in this room, I believe it is. Is it this room? 26th, right? That's okay. And they're going to have an arborist here and some educational things and coloring for the kids, and it's a really nice presentation. They did it last year as well. So if anyone's interested, or if you've got a few minutes, stop in and see what their tree board's doing for you and meet your tree board members.
Yes, residents would have received a mailer in last week.
Yep. Colored one, yep. That's it.
Trustee Edwards.
Nothing here.
Congratulations, Trustee Edwards, on your retirement.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Trustee Bartholomew.
I just wanted to say that there was a very nice surprise retirement party that we had for Cindy Wilson. Thanks to all those that put that together, and good luck, Cindy Wilson. She's done a great job for us.
Yeah, she has a few more days, if you wanted to come visit her before she leaves. Moving to my report. Last month, we had on our working agenda some wastewater treatment plant sprinkler heads. We did do a not-to-exceed amount and asked for them to go back out and find some more bids. Coming back with information that they did sign an agreement with Fire Control out of Riley for the amount of $3,065. And this was a company, to note, that Trustee Rousseau had passed on, so thank you for that. Moving into congressional funding, I wanted to let everybody know I have submitted a request to Congresswoman Lisa McClain. The request is in regards to our wastewater treatment plant. With the assistance of HRC, we compiled a list of pertinent repairs and updates. And I have fully requested the amount of $8,670,000. You can see further as we go into our CIP the needs over at wastewater treatment plant. It was required for submission that there would be 3 letters of support. I did gain 3 letters of support, one from SEMCOG, that is the Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments, Candace Miller, and Mark Hackle. The funding awards will not be even probably this fall. So this is something that we're looking at potentially next year if we get the money. So that would definitely help offset costs that we have over the village. Another grant that I'm working on will be applying once again for the SEMCOG planning grant. They just released that. This year, my application would be a submission for a residential sidewalk inventory. Again, working with HRC to get some details on that in order to submit. Submission is end of last month, or next month, like the 23rd of May. So at that point, then we'll know, probably by fall once again. Another grant, our tree grant, is back underway. So that's exciting. We will be having a kickoff meeting soon, and at that point, we'll set the date of when the inventory will be happening. This last week, myself, along with the tree board chair, had a check-in with our point person. They just want to go over some refreshment since the pause of what the requirements are and where to submit. Around town as your president, I was able to attend the Romeo High School first day of opening at their baseball game. Was able to throw out the first ball there. Beautiful facility. Taxes all going to good order there. And then just again, attended the meeting with Congresswoman McClain with all the supervisors around in the district and was able to bring up and point out our congressional funding request so that she had it before her to be paying attention. That this not only benefits the Village of Romeo, this benefits Bruce Township also. That is for my report. Clerk Lucero.
Yeah. So over at the cemetery, just to give you guys an update, we hired a new part-time individual. He worked at the cemetery prior, about 35 years ago. So he's somewhat familiar. I think he starts this week, if I'm not mistaken. The cemetery board's also going to be looking at their budget with the accountants by the end of the month, with the hope of building a master plan shortly after budget season, once you guys shake out what money's going where, and they can kind of decide what money they actually have to allocate towards this. The village office's update, sorry I didn't leave an update when I was not here last month. We were still working on it. At that time, really, there was nothing to really update, as I had stated previously. All of our building officials were out of town. They live in Florida during the winter. So we were trying to bring in our alternates and find time for them to come in, because they were only coming in about once a week. And when they come in, we load them up with everything we can so that they can address things, because like I said, our guys just weren't there. I'll expand on that though, because we have it under new business, item H, but just some quick points. We did get our inspector out, Tim, and like I said, we were trying to coordinate schedules. He did an inspection. You do have his comments in your packet. OSHA visited the village. They identified a number of things that Tim had identified, and then Mr. Brian Mitten had graciously offered to fix the issues free of charge. The village would just have to pay for the materials. We did an initial walkthrough, showed him all the issues identified, and we're just trying to nail down a time to have him come out and fix the issues. But like I said, I'll expand on some of the concerns at item H. Tech update. We're getting quotes from our current IT company for computers. Hopefully I'll have that here soon. Hopefully if I can get it and just have it added to your guys' packets tomorrow, that would be great. He's working on a couple numbers. Looking at an overall overhaul of not just our computers, but upgraded servers, so we have space for everything to start living, and hopefully start knocking down the tonnage of documents that we have in the hall. I'm also looking at, we've gotten a number of complaints that our Muni code, our website and our Muni code aren't really user-friendly. I know, Trustee Parker, you've said that to me as well. Talking to Civics Plus, they did an initial verification of our website. Looking at it, we have at least 30 ADA violations with concerns to accessibility on our website. So I'm going to be going over that with them. If we used them, and I'll get other quotes, all of our systems will integrate seamlessly with them. We're looking to switch away from paper timesheets. We're kind of antiquated in that, where every department writes down on a timesheet and then it has to be logged onto a spreadsheet that then goes over to payroll, and they still have to input it. Talking to BSNA, they have their own proprietary software that it's seamless. So it alleviates time on the department, and still the same kind of amount of work for payroll, but it's just more efficient. And then attended the Clerks Institute, in that we identified a number of grant funding. There's some windows closing soon. Found a lot of large grants open that we can apply for them. And it was also good because we were able to, I was able to kind of spitball and bounce off other people, HR professionals. The AG's office was there, talk about some of the issues that we might have here in the village, and glean a little bit more information on prevailing laws. So that was great, but that's it for my report. And like I said, I'll address the other things in item H.
Thank you. Moving into our sewer or subcommittee reports, we have Bruce Sewer. Have received the numbers that we've been asking for, pass them on to Clerk Lucero.
I will be providing those to you guys tomorrow, because I know you, Trustee Edwards, you don't really have access to your email right now. I need to sit down with you to get your phone up and running on that, but I'll get you guys hard copies for now. I didn't want to send it out and then you have one and he does. It'd just be easier just to give you guys, so you guys have an understanding right there.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's all I have for that.
Okay. And our ethics subcommittee, we did meet, made edits, sent the edits back out to committee members, kind of waiting to hear back from you guys. If you want to schedule another, or if you don't have edits, can you at least let me know that, and then I can run it past Mark Clark.
Yeah, we should schedule another, excuse me, we should schedule another meeting, I guess after we get out of all these budget meetings. We can meet again and go over the edits and send them to Mark and be on our way with that committee, hopefully.
Sounds good. Okay, moving into our first order of unfinished business, our CIP presentation. We have Karen here from HRC. Just a refresher, how we got here is our planning commission is tasked with a capital improvement plan. The village has not had a capital improvement plan. So in asking the planning commission to start a capital improvement plan, even had training on it, and not much had happened. And then this planning grant came along. It just kind of all worked out very well. We won the award, a little bit less than what we asked for. However, it's still enough. It's taken, when did we start? September?
About September, yes.
So take it away, Karen. You can.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Again, my name's Karen Stickle. I'm here from HRC, here to talk about the SEMCOG planning grant. Just a little bit of background on the grant. It was a grant award of $40,000 from the SEMCOG Planning Assistance Program. The funds to be utilized for planning activities in the village. We received the grant early last fall, and all the work needs to be completed by the end of June, but we wanted to get this presentation out in April so it could match up with your budget discussions a little bit. The goals of the village for this plan were to develop an updated asset inventory and CIP to plan for future expenses and to prioritize projects to address asset needs. The purpose of this public meeting is to provide a forum for input on the prioritization of the assets. We did have a public meeting in the fall of 2024, right after we received the grant. It was a little bit higher level. We didn't have numbers or projects really identified. It was more just to talk about what we were going to do with this grant money. The assets that were included in this are the wastewater treatment plant, the sanitary sewer collection system, the drinking water system and water tower, the iron removal plant, the storm sewer system, village roads, downtown sidewalks, downtown parking lots, and then DPW, Village Hall, and Community Center building. As Megan noted, we are going to be putting together an application for next year's grant program. It's the same planning grant program to look at the residential sidewalks. So that's not included at this time. Starting with the wastewater treatment plant. As some people may recall, back in 2017, 2018, 2019, you received a grant. It was called the SAW grant, Stormwater Asset Management Wastewater Grant, to look at primarily your wastewater system. So at that time, we did look at the wastewater treatment plant and collection system in depth. More than a $40,000 project at that time, where we actually did a lot of field investigations. We televised sewers, we inspected manholes. These photos show one of the projects that came out of that, and it's a replacement of one of the screws at the plant. So some of the projects outlined in that 2019 CIP have been completed, and then listed here are the remaining projects with some updated costs for 2025. We did break these projects into more short, near-term, 0 to 5 years, and then more long-term, 6 to 10, 11, 15, 16 to 20. So not all of that $8.3 million needs to be spent right away. For the congressional directed funding, we did request the full amount of this because we figured if we can do one project and get all of this done, but we understand that budgeting without grant funding, it's a little more challenging, so we wanted to break it up a little bit. But that congressionally directed funding did kind of lump everything together. For the sanitary sewer system, again, we did a lot of work with that SAW grant. And we've updated the CIP to show the rehab that was completed during the 2023 and 2024 local paving projects. You can see the pictures on the right are kind of before and after the rehab that was done. What we did a lot of before the road projects was lining the sanitary sewers. The last thing we wanted to do was redo roads and then have a sewer collapse. So we did this trenchless lining. So you can see before the pipe was in worse shape and after it's a little bit cleaner. And then this is kind of the remaining work that still needs to be done on the sanitary sewer collection system. What we also include here is routine cleaning and CCTV. Most of the system was televised during the SAW grant, but that's going on 10 years since we did that work, and it is recommended that that does get done on a 7 to 10 year basis because the system's going to continue to deteriorate over time. So that's the routine cleaning and CCTV line item. For the drinking water system improvement costs, we did develop a CIP for that in 2019 as well. That was part of a state regulation that needed to be done. No major water system improvements have been completed since, so this outlines those remaining projects from that 2019 project. The other thing that is in this that we do not have a cost for yet is lead service line replacements. I'm sure everyone's heard about the lead service line replacements. At this time, we're not aware of any, maybe a couple that might have lead in the village, but we don't think it's going to be a major issue. We did receive a grant to do some verifications on the service lines to make sure there is no lead in the system. If it's found, then that will have to be included in a CIP, but we're probably, we just got the contract signed for that. That's going to be starting probably in the next month or two. So we did get grant funding to do that though. The water tower project, as you can see, it was recently cleaned, so it looks a lot better. So Dixon Engineering, who specializes in water towers, they came out and looked at it, and they had some recommendations for 0 to 5 years and then 6 to 10 years to do some improvements to the water tower as well. The iron removal plant and well house. These are just some pictures from our site visit that we did back in the fall. We did do a pretty thorough investigation of the iron removal plant because that had not been done as any of the previous CIP projects. So because we had the grant money, we were able to look at the electrical, look at the structural, and come up with a list of projects and costs. And again, these are at the plant and then the different wells. And they're 0 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, 11 to 20 years. So there's some work that needs to be done at those. The storm system projects, we did have a little bit of grant funding from that SAW grant to look at the storm sewer, but really the focus was on wastewater. So we did do a lot of structure inspections as part of that, so all the catch basins and manholes that you see in the roads. We did do a few of those improvements during the road projects that were done as needed, but no major improvements have been made to the storm system. So this is the storm system improvement costs. This one's similar to the sanitary system. We do have that routine cleaning and CCTV. Again, we did part of it during the SAW grant, but that's something that does need to be done on a 7 to 10 year basis for anything that's not improved. Village road projects. The village has completed road projects in about 3/4 of the village. Here's some pictures of before and after, what those look like. It's included in the CIP is the quadrant of this village that has not been done, a couple remaining roads in the northwest quadrant, and then future maintenance. The other thing I wanted to point out is the village did receive funding to update your PASER ratings, and that is where SEMCOG, again, drives the city or the village streets and provides ratings on them. And they provide not just road reconstruction recommendations, but road maintenance. So if we want to do crack sealing on newer roads so that we extend the life of those roads, so we're not having to get back in there quite as soon to replace them. So That's gonna be done this summer, so there might be a few tweaks to these numbers once those PASER ratings are done. But we just put together the numbers. So these are the numbers to complete the areas of the village that haven't been done. And then, again, the general road maintenance on the longer term, that's kind of to be determined with those PASER ratings that SEMCOG will be doing. And the village did receive funding for that, and SEMCOG will be handling that. The downtown district sidewalk improvement costs, this is to kind of just address all of the sidewalks in the downtown area, make some ADA improvements, update some of the tree planting areas. Again, we have those costs in there. The parking lots, we have not finalized costs on the parking lots yet. This is something that wasn't necessarily included originally in this grant, but we found out we did have a little bit of money left, so we, again, have till the end of June to spend it, so we thought we'd take a closer look at these, do some additional investigations to determine exactly what rehabilitation will be required. If it is total reconstruction of the parking lots, there are county standards and state standards that require stormwater management, so that may up the costs. So we don't have those costs, but that is something we plan on doing before the end of the grant period. The village DPW facility, that's another one. We are planning on doing the site assessment this month, so I don't have the final costs yet, but the known projects we have: roof rehabilitation, parking lot improvements, salt barn updates. So we are working on updating those costs as well. Village Hall, we did do inspection out there, and this kind of outlines some of the changes and updates that need to be made: windows, doors, the roof. There's some things that need to be done in interior and exterior at Village Hall. And the community center here, we did that as well, and here's some of the things that need to be done. And then these are the costs based on those recommended repairs. So we did want to prioritize the projects again. We showed a lot of costs, but these are, we had kind of shorter term and long term. These are the 0 to 5 year projects broken up by the different categories. So that's the 0 to 5 years. And then these are the longer term projects that are being recommended. So at that time, that's my presentation. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Karen. Just for the council, I did include the actual draft plan so that you can see the more detailed as opposed to the PowerPoint here. Is there any questions, discussion?
The sidewalks you're referencing are just the downtown?
Just the downtown, yes. Like President Nansky said, we are going to be applying for another grant, same grant program to do the residential.
Nothing? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Moving on to our first item of new business, we have our Romeo Police Union grievance, grievance 2540.
Give me 1 second.
Sorry about that.
It's okay, you just-
Good evening. My name is Kevin Loftus. I'm from the Police Officers Association of Michigan, which is the bargaining agent for the Romeo police officers and also the Romeo communications officers. What we're here for tonight is, in the labor agreement, the Board of Trustees has stepped forward in the process if there was a grievance. And I had emailed you packets over the weekend. Hopefully you've had a chance to review them. In essence, the union became aware in September of 2024 that the chief was intending to hire a new employee at a wage rate higher than the contractual wage rate. On September 24th, I sent the chief a demand to bargain over any modifications of the wage scale. The chief contacted me shortly thereafter, indicated that it was not his intent to change the wage scale. The union became aware in January of this year that the chief, in fact, provided a new hired employee a wage scale $3.42 higher than the starting officer wage rate. The grievance was filed, that this is a clear violation of the agreement. It's also a violation of the Public Employees Relations Act, which is an unfair labor practice. The chief denied the grievance, claiming management rights. We do not believe what that interpretation is correct. We then moved on to step 3 of the grievance, which is the city clerk's step. On February 13th of this year, we met with the city clerk, the police chief, and the city attorney, discussed a possible remedy for the grievance. Unfortunately, the village did not live up to its indication that we were going to open negotiations. Their offer was that we were going to open negotiations for the collective bargaining agreement 1 year early. This was an offer by the village. It was never asked for by the union. We held the grievance in abeyance for 60 days. Over the 60 days, we did not hear one word from the village about any intent to open negotiations. At that point in time, we notified the village that we were going to move to step 4 of the grievance, which is your step today. And that's what we're here for. We were hoping that once we filed the grievance that the chief would obviously decide that he shouldn't raise somebody's wage rates, but those requests were denied, and that's what we're here for today. I'm available to answer any questions if you have any. No questions? Thank you.
Would you like to speak? Clerk
Yeah,
Lucero?
so,
It's your item.
Mr. Loftus is correct. We did enter into an abeyance agreement. It was for 60 days. On the 60th day, I was notified that the police officers union would like to proceed to step 4. I explained that I had been waiting on a number of things. I did apologize for a lack of communication. I was waiting on a number of things from our accountants because we can waste a whole lot of everybody's time just opening up a contract and not doing anything until we have an understanding of where we're at. It was conveyed to me that there is little faith that we would do anything to address this issue, despite multiple times me asserting that I would love to do something about the wage issue. I've said it multiple times here at this table. But there's a way to do those things, and they have to be well thought out. And, going back to a statement, I am a business owner. I understand the economics that impact businesses. And the village, if you consider that a business, we can't just haphazardly run into something, even though we want to do something. I can't do anything unless I have supporting data and information. Every decision needs to be made based on data and information, and I was waiting for that. So on the 60th day, there was nothing in the abeyance agreement. It's in your guys' packet. It's online. It states that within these 60 days, that's up to day 60 if it needs to be. I had every intention. I even asked, we can open it up right now. Let's schedule for next week, and it was declined. I understand there is a disparity. I understand that these things would like to be moved forward from both sides, but we need to do it in a methodical way to where we are not putting ourselves behind the eight ball and addressing it in a meaningful fashion rather than just putting a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. So that's where I'm at with it. I wish we could have moved forward, but we're here where we are.
And if I may, where we're at with this, can we go back to the beginning? Mr. Clark, if we could pull you into the conversation. At the beginning, the initial grievance and Chief's denial of it, did anybody speak to you?
No.
From the village?
No.
Okay. What would be
Well,
your?
wait a minute, I take that back. I might have had, I recall having a telephone conversation with the chief, but I don't want to disclose that in public because there's an attorney-client privilege there.
Understood, but there was discussion.
I was made aware of the issue, I will say that.
Thank you. And in that, we felt confident as the village to move forward with denial. Would you mind going over, I don't know, do you have your?
I do. Now, I don't mind at all.
The management clause that we have claimed.
I do, and I understand the POAM's position. I'm not surprised they're taking that position. But unions, employers, and lawyers have jobs because people don't always agree. And in our collective bargaining agreement, there is a provision. It is in both the police officers' agreement and as well as the dispatchers' agreement. It affects both bargaining units. I realize this is just with respect to the police officers tonight. And in that management rights provision, there is language that says management, the Village of Romeo, reserves rights to assign work responsibilities, determine rates of pay, and things of that nature. And I do believe that there is authority in the collective bargaining agreement to do what was done. I don't know how clear it was, but it's my understanding that a new officer was hired at a wage that would have been payable to somebody that had worked in the department for 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure at which wage level the hiring took place. I wasn't involved in that, but I do know that it was at an amount higher than an entry-level police officer. I believe the language in the collective bargaining agreement supports that. And also, there is no one in the police department, either in the bargaining unit at hand, officers, or the dispatchers. I don't want to get into the weeds, but for the officers, nobody was disadvantaged by this. Nobody leapfrogged. One employee did not leapfrog over another employee. If I'm not mistaken, I believe all the current officers, except for the new hire, are at the maximum wage provided in the contract. There may be somebody who's not quite there yet, but I believe they are. And if not, they're still ahead of the pay rate at which the new officer was hired. So they have every right to contest it, which they've done. We've been through the steps. As both Mr. Loftus and Mr. Lucero said, it is your issue now to decide whether to grant or deny the grievance. The remedy they've requested is to have all the other officers receive an increase of $3.42 an hour, because apparently that was the additional wage level at which the new officer was hired. One of the things that always concerns me about this, but I don't know if it enters into your thinking, but I'm assuming that the new officer is, at least for some purposes, he may still be on probation, I'm not sure the hiring date and the length, but it seems the new officer at some point is also going to be, if not already, represented by POAM. And now the POAM is in here saying, well, we don't agree with what he got, so give us more. But again, it's the step 4 of the procedure as provided in the collective bargaining agreement. It's your decision to make whether to grant or deny the grievance. You can also make a decision that's somewhere in between. And I'm not advocating for one decision or another. It's just that you have the ability to decide to grant the grievance, deny it, or make a decision that is somewhere in between that.
And would that need to be done this evening?
Well, you have to make a decision, and I think under the agreement, it requires a response within 5 business days, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if their contract was provided in the packet.
No,
when I
not in
went
the
through
packet.
it. I did not see it, and I apologize, I did not bring a separate copy, but I believe the time within which to respond is 5 business days.
5 business days from today.
Yes.
Did the new officer come with any previous background in police?
You'd have to direct that to either the chief or Megan. I'm not sure. I was not in any way involved in the hiring or the thought behind what was done.
Police chief?
Like,
The new officer had no prior law enforcement experience, but was former military.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Excuse me, Chief. He was in the military. Did he have any MP work in the military or just in the military?
Just military, my understanding, some significant combat experience.
Okay, combat experience. Thank you.
well, with this in mind, do we have any more discussion? Would the board like to make a decision tonight, take our days? We have another meeting tomorrow.
I'd say we take those 5 days. Decision at that point.
Is that a,
Do I need to make a motion for that or what?
I will say, if you're gonna do that, which is fine, again, the contract allows for it, but whatever agenda you have for your subsequent meetings, my advice is to put this on the agenda so interested people would know about it and could come and hear what your decision or your discussion is, or both.
I would like to just point out one thing. When I had reached out and said, you know, this is the 60th day. When we're talking about unfair labor practices and what falls under para, what also falls under para is not bargaining in good faith. And this one line did stick with me. The union is still interested in starting negotiations for a successor agreement if the village is truly interested in negotiation. If an agreement is reached on a new agreement prior to the grievance arbitration meeting, which is step 5, we are in step 4. And that has always been my concern in all of this, is that any agreement is ultimately untenable. It will be broken in some way, shape, or form, and if, again, I want our people to make more. But if you're coming out and saying, you know, looking ahead already down the line, that tells me that you're really not serious about coming to any resolution at this step. So I think that is worth mentioning and putting on the record, and that's all I have.
if we do have a motion to hold for a few days, could we please put in the motion what date
Calendar?
we plan to answer?
What's today? 21st?
The 5th business day would be the 28th.
Thank you.
The next day will be what?
The 5th business day would be from tonight, unless, well, Mark, are we doing,
Can you do
because I know certain things, the way the state looks at them, FOIA, for instance, it's the next day.
Right.
You start the next day. Is it 5 days from right now, or is it 5 days starting tomorrow?
5 business days.
5 business days, this business day is over,
Okay,
and
so
so
put it
it would
Monday.
be counting from tomorrow.
So you
But,
look at
but
the 29th.
the time requirements are specific, you have to honor those.
have to respond within 5 days, and my understanding is that this board would have to nominate someone to be that person to respond from this board. Is that correct?
Yes, but it has to be a response of your decision. So you, not that I would want the honor or the distinction, and not that you would bestow it upon me, but I wouldn't want you to say, Mark, write them a letter and tell them, without you telling
We
me
need to know what
the
our answer
decision
is, correct. So is tomorrow enough time, or would you like a special meeting set out further?
Well, we have the meeting on the 28th.
You'd have to respond the very next day.
Yeah.
So we could actually. No. I think
Well, and if you're adding something to the agenda, keep in mind, if you change your agenda, you've got to do it 18 hours in advance.
I definitely think we need the 5 days. Wherever we put it,
Are you ready to vote now?
make a motion that we extend it for 5 days, 5 business days.
We have a motion by Fowler.
I guess that's not what I was meant. I meant to vote now.
Oh, write this.
But what do we, well, the motion's already on the floor.
Do we have a second?
No.
No?
There is no second.
All right.
I guess I'd make a motion for this board to vote now on this complaint, on this grievance.
What would your motion be?
My motion would be to deny the grievance.
We have a motion by Edwards. Do we have support?
Support.
We have support by Care. Do we have any further discussion?
Mark, can you outline the next step if we do move on to step 5 in the grievance
Yes,
process?
yes. If the union chooses to pursue it, they would go to the next step, which is arbitration. They will notify the village that they want the matter to proceed to arbitration. There will be notice of that, both parties. Then the parties try to decide on an arbitrator. Oftentimes, there are 3 or 4 or 5 arbitrators that are provided, names of which and biographies are provided. If the union and the village can agree on an arbitrator, that's done. You usually can choose 1, 2, or 3, whatever your preference is. And again, if the preferences match, then you've selected an arbitrator. If not, I think this is under the federal arbitration rules, if I'm not mistaken. The arbitrator will be chosen if the village and the POM cannot agree. And then it's in the form, it's adversarial. Although it's not strictly in the form of a trial, the arbitrator acts as the so-called neutral. Both sides are allowed to present their evidence, whether it be testimonial or written, past practice, whatever it might be. Usually in something like this, it can be done in a day, but it might take a day and a half, 2 days. And then the arbitrator receives all the information. Usually there are follow-up briefs, summaries from each side that tell the arbitrator what each side believes it told the arbitrator, and then the arbitrator makes a decision.
If we vote tonight to deny the grievance, does the POAM have a time frame that they have to respond, or can they just?
I believe in the contract, going to the next step is set out in the contract. Again, I apologize, I don't have the specific contract with me, but I believe they have a certain number of days within which to demand the arbitration, to take it to that next step. I just can't tell you off the top of my head what that time is. And Kevin might know, Mr. Loftus might know.
14 days.
Okay, 14 days, there you go. So they have 14 days to decide.
Do we have any further discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't for Zach's motion to wait till the last day to do something. I don't know if I'm ready to make a decision tonight. I mean, if vote's called, but if we could table until a later date this week, I'd be more comfortable.
That was my
There's a motion on the
But
floor.
not waiting till the last day. His motion was to the 5th day.
It needs to be voted or withdrawn. Yeah, this
Is there any
motion-
discussion that you could have at the moment that you, any questions you would like? Okay. Hearing none, we have a motion on the floor. The motion is to deny. Edwards, supported by Care. Could you call the roll?
Parker.
No.
Fowler.
No.
Bartholomew.
So knowing why all this came about, I have to vote to deny.
So is your answer yes?
Yes.
Or
to
no?
Yes, to deny.
Thank you.
Edwards.
Yes.
Rosso.
Yes.
Care.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-2.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. President Poznanski.
Yes.
Now motion passes 5-2. Sorry.
Moving into,
And could I just say you should direct somebody to convey the decision? I know it's made in public, it's on the record, and the union representatives are here, but according to the agreement, you have to formally let them know. So you should designate somebody to do that. At least that's my advice.
do we have a motion?
I would recommend Mr. Clark for that job.
Support.
We have a motion by Edwards, support by Care, to direct Mr. Clark to
Formally.
answer the grievance decision of the council.
If I could just question the language, I thought the language stated that it had to be a member of council responding.
Again, maybe it does. I didn't think that it was limited to that, but I'll pass the hat to anybody.
Give me a second. I'll find it.
Would the clerk satisfy a member of this
Not a
council, or
member-
you're
Not a
referring
member
to?
of council.
Did you bring anything with you to support this?
Well, real quick, so it says, the designated representative of the village board of trustees shall render an answer within 5
Okay.
working days. So I think
Yeah, I'm
Mr.
good.
Clark fulfills that.
I'm good with that.
Okay, that is the motion on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
We have any opposed? There's none opposed. Moving into our parcel combination of 300-316 Washington Street. A little history here. We have 3 parcels that were combined to a single parcel. I believe it went before Planning Commission, everything was approved, and then, where's the date? On March 2nd of 2022, the owner of the parcel came to the village and then subsequently divided them into 3 parcels. That is your second page in here, where at that time, Ms. Trapp, being the clerk, authorized it. You see the writing at the bottom by Mr. Frank Farrow. He is now requesting that they be combined back into a single parcel.
East. It's East Washington.
Do we have any discussion?
So this has not gone back to planning then,
No,
my
so-
understanding.
so if I could speak on this, it has to come before you guys. All parcels, either divisions or combinations, need to come before you guys. This originally went before planning. It was approved as one large .77 acre parcel. If you notice the lines that, the dotted lines on here, there is one building that is over the line. It is in another parcel, and those are the parcels that were created. So there's a number of issues. It's three non-conforming parcels were created. You have one of the duplexes is residing on some of the parcel, and then the setbacks within those, it's 15 feet, which satisfies if you're doing multifamily, but if that is, if you're splitting them into single parcels, well, now you have to adhere to the setbacks, and that would put it 18 feet in between these buildings, because you at least need 9 feet to your side. So Mr. Bomarito and I have gone round and round on this, figuring out how this needs to go, and really how this needs to go is he needs to come here if you guys approve it. Then he needs to go back to planning with the original site plan because the site was altered. So it completely negates the site plan. It needs to go back if they choose to just honor what they honored and formality, just give it a stamp of approval, cool, but it has to go in front of you guys first to combine the splits.
How was the site altered since the original plans?
It was created into 3 parcels.
But the plan is the same?
The plan is the same, but the fact that the parcel was altered, it completely,
It requires them to go back to
yes.
planning.
And that's,
Do you mind if I give you just a quick history on it? I might be able to clear it up a little bit. I'm the owner, I'm Frank Farrell. When I purchased the property, there was a historic home on Denby Street. It's the corner of Denby and Washington where this property was. Now, in order to do this 3 units of duplexes that was our intended purpose, the home on Denby was in the way, obviously. It needed to kind of either move away or go away. We purchased another parcel of property further down the same street on East Washington, and I physically moved the house, which was quite a job, quite an endeavor. So we were able to save that home to get this property to work. When I bought the land with the house, the address was 175 Denby, but the 3 units that we were going to build after we moved the home were all facing Washington Street. That's the way they are. That's the way they were intended to be built. It was always one parcel ID, but it was consisted of 3 lots. So we didn't combine it and then try to separate it. It was always one. When I built the first of the 3 buildings, it was site plan approved to do the 3 buildings, and we have not changed that at all, and we're not going to change that at all. It's the exact same approval that I got before. I just want to build the next 2 buildings. What had happened is after I built the first building, we were concerned that I have a parcel of property that has a Denby address, but I have a building that's nearly 200 feet away down East Washington Street. The addresses I felt should match. So I went and spoke to, I believe, the clerk at the time and said, well, it's 3 lots. I'm going to be building 3 buildings. Would it make sense to split it into 3 lots and give me 3 separate addresses so that we don't confuse future tenants? To me, it just made sense. They agreed completely. I filled out a little form, which I see Mr. Clark has, and split the land. Didn't think anything of it. Now, fast forward 2 years later, I want to build the other 2 buildings, and it seems I ruined Romeo by doing this. It was never the intent to
No, we
make
did
any
that with paid parking.
It was never the intent to make any problems. All I wanted to do is build the next 2 buildings like we would have done. I had no idea that splitting them to get 3 addresses was going to cause any kind of grievance with setbacks or whatever. But we are planning to build the exact buildings that were already approved, no changes, the exact same setbacks. The only difference is that now I can afford to do a building, so I couldn't do them back then.
Well, and at this point, we do just need to combine it. To not combine it, not quite sure what we would do to walk forward. It was already done in the past. I say no reason not to combine it.
I think combining it was a mistake on my part for asking for it, and probably the village's part for saying it was a great idea, when in reality it caused this problem. They should have just said, no, you can't do that. And I wouldn't have. There was no advantage to me other than I just wanted 3 addresses for tenants not to get confused. That's all.
and if I could, Mr. Bomarito would have been here, but he was looking at another permit issue at 6:30, so he wouldn't be able to make it. But at least the village's standpoint from the building department, we're good with it. If you guys decide to marry them, great. As far as the building department, neither myself or Mr. Bomarito have any issue with this kind of hitting the rewind button, so to speak. But ultimately, it's up to you guys how you guys want to want to move forward with this.
If we combine the parcels, will it go back to its Denby original address?
No. So, I think, and Mr. Clark, can you?
The existing building that's currently built is 316, so
Yeah,
I would
East
say,
Washington.
rather than changing their address, maybe we just make that the new address for the.
ABC or whatever.
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah, I'll just do unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's in line with what Mr. Bomarito and I had spoken about.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, because if we go back to Denby, that was the whole reason we split them, because I was trying to get away from the Denby address, because it didn't make sense, because the home is no longer on Denby, it turned. Because the long part of the property faces Washington Street, where the Denby house was originally on Denby, and the long part was their backyard.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Farrell.
Thank you, I appreciate your consideration.
Before you leave, I have a quick question. The house that you moved.
Yes.
Thank you for doing that. Is it currently occupied?
Yes, I sold it as soon as it was finished, and a young lady purchased it, and she's loving it. She's living there now and
Okay.
taking great care of it.
Thank you. And then Clerk Lucero, did you get anything in writing from Mr. Bomarito saying he was?
I did not. We spoke a little bit today on the phone. He had been out and about, so I asked him if he could make it. He said no. He said, please give me a call if you want. I can put him on speakerphone. He said he'd be available for that, but I don't have anything in writing from Mike, no.
I'll make a motion to, you have a question? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'll make a motion to combine the three parcels at 316 East Washington Street, 28040205-012, as well as 011 and 010.
Support?
We have a motion by Cares, support by Bartholomew. Is there any more discussion?
This goes back to planning. Once we approve this,
For
Correct.
site plan.
Okay, no further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any opposed? We have none opposed.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Moving into our budget amendments, we have a couple budget amendments here this month. We have one for Village Hall, Police Department, and then also Cemetery. Do we have a motion to approve budget amendments?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendments as stated.
Support?
We have a motion by Edwards, support by Bartholomew. Do we have discussion? Hearing no questions, could you please call the roll, Clerk Trapp? I
Excuse
do
me?
apologize.
Oops. I'm gonna leave now.
Clerk Lucero?
Bartholomew,
Yes.
Fowler,
No.
Care,
Yes.
Rasa,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Poznanski.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-1.
Moving into an additional budget date. We had two dates offered. They would be for the following, next week, either Tuesday or Thursday, so Tuesday, April 29th, or Thursday, May 1st. Does the board have a preference?
I can't make Thursday. I'm fine with Tuesday.
I have issues with Tuesday, but if we could do 7:30,
You could do it if it was at
if we
7:30?
could push either day, really, if we could do 7:30, it'd be better.
That'd be fine with me, Tuesday at 7:30, if that works.
I can't do Tuesday at all. I can do Thursday.
Yikes.
You want to try to identify
Wanna say
another
who?
date, or?
We can. If the board would like to have more of us there, it is important, it is budget. I would like to
Wednesday.
achieve more than just
Or
quorum.
you on that Wednesday, when you're retired.
Yeah, now that I'm retired, I can make a lot of these weird dates, yeah.
I have no conflict on Wednesday at all.
Me neither.
Let's throw a couple out, though, too, that way we have some options with
Mm-hmm.
Plant Moran. Let me get my calendar out.
Oh, true.
Okay, so you were saying the 30th?
Wednesday, the 30th.
Okay, what, is that, would that be at 7?
Yeah.
Okay, do we have another date?
Monday the 5th at 7?
No.
Well, the building might be occupied then anyway.
DDA,
Yeah.
first Monday.
I think it's Tuesday the 6th at 7.
Yeah, I can do the
I
sixth.
could do either of those two.
Okay, 6th at 7. Okay, I can go back with these two dates. We can adjust our agenda within 18 hours and get an answer by tomorrow,
Okay.
hopefully. If I don't get an answer in 18 hours to adjust on the agenda, then that's where we're at.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Moving into our Arbor Day proclamation. We have a proclamation by the President of the Village of Romeo, Michigan for Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce erosion of our topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and beauty to our community, and whereas trees in our village increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and provide character to our community. And now therefore I, Megan Posniansky, President of the Village of Romeo in the County of Macomb, and on behalf of the Village Council, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the Village of Romeo. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees in order to promote the well-being of this generation and future generations to come. Dated today's date, 21st of April, 2025.
So is that a motion?
Yes,
Support.
very long one.
Second.
We have a motion,
We got a support and a second.
motion by
I didn't know it was her
the,
motion.
motion by the president,
What's left?
support by Bartholomew. All in favor of supporting the proclamation?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay. Moving into our paid parking, this item is a request to the agenda from Trustee Parker. I did get the Placer AI information data from SEMCOG and did include that. That is what the first 23-page report is. Further, Trustee Parker did get me some other information by Thursday. Close enough, put in the packet. That is what's in here.
Sorry about that. That's when it was sent to me.
So Trustee Parker, your item.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to get the information out and see how the board feels about this moving forward. I know we've got a lot of residents, business owners, a lot of people speaking out about this. Current data looks like month of March, roughly about $1,100. And it's, obviously, there's been a decrease visually with the traffic and the parking in the downtown area. So I just wanted to keep this on the agenda and keep the discussion open and see where everyone's at with it.
What was some of the stuff that you wanted to include in the packet?
The stuff from the DDA, which did end up coming,
Oh, that's what it was.
I asked for it to be sent to me, I think by the 15th, which was Monday. I ended up getting it Thursday. She said she had sent it to you, and thank you for getting it in there.
Are we looking for a vote on this? 'Cause I'll make a motion to suspend the paid parking project. Vote Romeo.
We have a motion on the table. Do we have support?
I'll support.
We have a motion by Fowler, support by Parker. Do we have discussion?
The motion was to suspend, not terminate,
Suspend it, to suspend it, yes.
so
then means we can come back to it. Is that what you?
Okay, I'll reword. To terminate.
If I could just point out, in the first 23 pages, I included all 23 so as to be very transparent of all the information that it includes. A lot of it doesn't pertain to our question at hand, right? But the third page has some numbers in there. What we did was we took 23, 24, and 25. You have the blue is 23, the blue line. 24 is the red, and 25 is the green. We requested data from the date that paid parking has gone into effect to be able to see the time frame. So we asked for the time frame again in 23, 24, and 25. So we had 2 years of looking back without paid parking. If you look at the top, in 23, the number of visits was 126.8 thousand. In 24, it was 136.7 thousand. So it increased between 23 to 24, the number of visits. To 25, you have 139.6 thousand visits. So it continued to increase. When you go down to the next line, you have the number of visitors. In 23, we had 60.8 thousand visitors. In 24, you had 65.1 thousand visitors. And in 25, we have 67.2 thousand visitors. So visitors increased. We have our visit frequency. This is how often does the same person come back. In 23, you have 2.08. In 24, you have 2.1. And in 25, you have 2.08. So it did decrease the frequency right there by a 0.02% or whatever. And then we have our average dwell time. In 23, we had 76 minutes. In 24, we had 78 minutes. And in 25, we have 75 minutes. And then the rest is a visit year over year, year to year, year to 3 years. They continue to increase.
Was any of that in between the time that you put those signs?
It's the literal time frame. Here, I'll tell you.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you.
Please, I do apologize. This is not public comment time. There is public comment time again at the end. The time frame to acknowledge that was February 3rd when the signs went up to April 12th. That was when I asked for the report. That was the closest information they could grab. The other 2 years, the dates go along with the time frame, not the date, because obviously we were trying to grab the same weeks. Yes. If I grabbed February 3rd every day, it's not, for each year, it's not correct. So it is the time frame, and it was also for a stay of longer than 10 minutes, so that it cut out any of that, the short jumping in and out, picking up a carryout. So there's a motion on the table. I just wanted to point out that the information that we've been waiting for, we do have some, granted, not very long, but the trend is not necessarily going down.
So how does SEMCOG get this information? How do they know the same people who visited twice?
Satellites, pings. Satellite.
There's a margin of error. It's not perfect.
So if people don't have a cell phone or added a cell phone, that's really where it's all coming from.
If a family of 5 walks into the village and there's one phone, you track one.
Okay.
But it's the same phone.
Cell phone.
That's how it would know
Okay.
that.
And does this data account for things such as in 2023, that's right about when people got comfortable being out of COVID and starting to do things full-time again? Or weather events that occurred, or different events that were downtown? Does it tie in any of that?
It gives you facts. It's going to give you analytics and numbers. If you look on the same page 3 and you look down, date 1 is the 3rd. So the 3rd that we pulled the report on. So you can see it going up and down. I believe the one bigger blip towards 41, went back to correlate, I think that was around St. Baldrick's. So you can see, if you go back and look what was happening in the village, you can see where the blips are. If you wanted to go verify the weather with it, that is also possible too. We did also have St. Patrick's Day in here. So it's only going to give you the numbers. If you wanted to you have to go do that yourself. It's not going to do that for you.
So we have my motion
So
on
it's
the
fine.
table.
It gives us the numbers of cell phones, I guess, is what I'm seeing, and not to discount that, but we're not tracking cell phones. So I would think, for me, to make an educated decision, you would need other factors included. Statistics can be spun many different ways. This is cell phone tracking, to me.
And if this was the metrics we were always going to measure by. This is all we have. There is no, unless you have people standing in the doors, tracking.
So we weren't gonna measure by money, by dollars?
The money is ancillary. The money comes secondary
Secondary to what?
to space. Getting the people space to park, moving anybody that might park out on the main street all day into moving them off of the main street into the corners that we all know.
Right. A lot of people used it for advertising.
It was just like at Cindy's thing last week. There was nobody parked on the main street, everybody's parked in all back parking lots, looking for places to park.
I would argue they were
You know,
all
so-
parked on the street, because I parked my motorcycle there, and the street was packed.
Well, obviously, you're joining the program, which is good. I'm glad you're showing support, but right now I have a motion to terminate this program.
Which we understand, but we're having discussion.
Please.
So, do we have any more discussion of the council?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like from last year to this year, the numbers have roughly gone up slightly, maintained. I look at, and it says total parking amount, right, the $1,165, and I'm assuming that that's just for the month of March. I don't know if that's total since the project has started, and there's been 4 annual passes sold. I mean, you're talking about $1,100, $1,500 a month maybe. I just don't see the benefit of that in the long term. You know, it's just, we tried. I don't know, I mean, if you took that as an average and multiplied that out, I mean, how much is that bringing into the village? I mean, like you said, it's ancillary, but still, I mean, was it intended, like for the maintenance and improvement aspect? Because that's.
Well, this
pennies,
council
right?
made a
Divide that out
contract.
by day.
We made a contract. That money is for capital improvement.
Mhm.
So it's not just for striping, that it's for major capital improvement. So that money does have an intention. And that was a unanimous vote of the council.
On April 21st, it was a unanimous vote that this council enter into the agreement for paid parking. You guys, if I could address,
No, I never voted for paper.
or not April, on October 21st, yes, you did, Ms. Rosso. It was, you guys voted to strip the time requirements from the current ordinance, which was a way to pave way for this. And on April 21st.
It's today.
Sorry, I keep saying April 21st, I'm sorry. October 21st, 2021, or 2024, sorry, I keep getting tongue-tied. It was a unanimous vote, and it was even mused on this board because you guys talked about the administrative fee being too much, 10% going to DDA, and it was mused that, well, if this does $10 million, we're giving $1 million to DDA, but it was voted unanimously to move forward.
Can you please read the motion that was made?
Village DDA parking lots agreement. I'm just reading the minutes. President Poznanski reported that the agreement was presented to address the pilot fee. Parking fee was originally intended for capital improvement and evolved into maintenance and care. DDA prefers that maintenance and care be separated. Under the agreement, the village receives the funds from the parking meters via the app, and the DDA will share in the expense of the maintenance. Because the village is unsure how much it truly spends on the care and maintenance of the parking lots due to the way they are billed. The agreement states the DDA will offer 10% or $3,875, whichever is lesser. Discussion was had amongst the board, motion by Parker, support by Edwards, to accept the parking lot agreement with 10% retainage by DDA. Then it goes on to say, Trustee Parker withdrew his motion based on questions arising over how much the DDA is contributing. Under this agreement, the DDA will receive 10% of the parking fee for administration, which includes any issues with parking, and the village will receive 90%. Trustee Rosa raised the question whether the village wanted to enter the agreement for 3 years. President reported that the 3-year time frame comes from the app. This is the length of the agreement with Park Mobile. New motion by Parker, support by Edwards, to accept the parking lot agreement, including the 3-year term, removal of the DDA suggested 10% appropriation, and approval of section 5, whatever that is, as written. Unanimous, 7-0.
And what was that date, Nolan?
October 21st? Yeah, October 21st.
And what was the motion?
I just scrolled past it. To accept parking lot agreement, including the 3-year term in paragraph 1, the removal of the DDA suggested 10% appropriation in section 2.
That's the entire motion?
Yeah, and approval of section 5 as written. 2-hour, 19-minute mark of that.
Okay, so when you made the motion originally to allow the DDA to enter into an agreement, to explore and enter into an agreement.
To implement paid parking
And
solutions.
implement. What was the date of that?
It was October 21st.
No, it was July.
No, it was
Oh, you're
before.
talking, oh, yeah, that one, yeah, I
and
wasn't on the
think that's
board, I'm
what
just
the
talking
confusion
about.
is. I think you made it
This is
sound like
separate, yeah.
we voted to implement the paid parking,
Yeah.
which we
No.
did not. In October, and I think my comment was, I wasn't for it, but let's see where it goes and let's see what we can do to make it the best. And if we're gonna use those funds, yes, let's use them to help the parking or the maintenance upkeep. And we're there.
Yeah.
It's been in place. I just don't think it's worth the headache.
Yeah, I mean.
$1,100, $1,200?
Right, and I think the initial intention was just to roll out with it, not necessarily as a moneymaker, but just to see the usage, engage it, and maybe work on that price later. I'm a little kind of upset, the DDA chose not to reconvene the parking committee. You know, some of the reasons were, well, they don't have input on the other options, like raising taxes or whatever. That's not why we wanted to meet with the DDA. I wanted to meet with the DDA to work on issues like the pricing. I have an issue with the northwest quadrant, kind of gets hammered with that extra spot, so they have nothing really free or very little free. You know, maybe we could work with the DDA to have a town hall and reassess the situation, so it's just kind of frustrating that they were unwilling to come to the table with that.
So does, like, I guess I'm asking, never mind. I was gonna ask you a question that would just be hearsay, so never mind.
Okay.
Do we have any more discussion?
Chief, is there any way to keep mobile advertisers out of parking space and the employees out of the parking space? The Main Street parking, one of the primary reasons we did this is to create spaces for customers. Because what was happening was the business owners were parking up there on Main Street. People parking pickup trucks up there and leaving them there for 8-10 hours a day. How can we remove those without this plan?
Yeah, I would probably be a better
There
question for
already is
Mr. Clark,
signs.
but I think you could maybe draft an ordinance that would suggest current
Correct.
time limits,
Isn't
but
there
then how
already
do you?
was there already 3-hour parking signs?
It was the
Right,
enforcement.
we can never enforce it.
It was the
Because we can't
enforcement.
chalk tires, you know, it's unconstitutional, so how, the issue has always been, how do you know how long they've been there? Without parking a police officer there and setting a stopwatch.
So
And the
this
same-
gave us a
The same issue
mechanism.
would occur if you extended that out to more time. Who's to say how long somebody's been there?
How many tickets have you written during this program? Do you know?
I don't think they were issuing.
We have been issuing some citations.
We gave the 1 month onboarding,
1 month
the
after.
notices.
So do you know?
I don't know what the current numbers are.
Okay.
I can tell you this, that, and it may be unpopular, but I know that part of our job is the enforcement arm. But I don't want guys sitting out on Main Street or in the parking lot behind the Main Street pub, writing parking tickets. That's not really what I'm saying. Our job is to enforce, and I've encouraged them to do some of that. But I don't want them sitting out there doing that all day long. They need to be out in the neighborhoods, in the businesses, being present and being visible. However, I do understand that is part of our job, so.
Have you had feedback from the officers at all?
They're not thrilled about it. They're not thrilled about it. People come out and complain, and I've received some phone calls complaining. So there's, it's not our decision, it's not our choice.
I guess what I'm asking is the officers say, yeah, this is easy breezy app to use, and or are they like, this app to track it is horrible? And
Our side of the app is not difficult. It's on a device where we just bring it up, and all the plates that are paid are on the tablet, and any plate that's not on the tablet is not paid. So it's pretty simple to use and refresh.
Okay.
But
We still are in the world of paper tickets, and as we move into Clemmis, we would have the printed tickets. Is that my
Correct.
understanding?
Correct.
So it would go faster with the new software, however, we're not quite there yet.
correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
I would like to see us take a few more months to gather information. I see it already trending up, so to me, it says it's doing what we've asked it to do. And that is where I sit.
I would also like to say one thing, if I could, also somewhat as a resident. We just had this budget meeting. We don't have money to upkeep our lots, and if everybody's fine with everything turned into gravel, then so be it. I'm not necessarily for paid parking either. Please don't take this as me saying a yay or nay, but it's a solution. And I would argue against just making a quick decision in lieu of, like I said earlier, data and information need to direct your guys' decisions. Without that, if we're just operating on emotion, that's kind of how we've gotten to the place that we're at right now. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not even saying we should implement it. But we have to start thinking about something. I looked back at please, ladies and gentlemen, I looked back at the last month's meeting, since I was not in town, and I heard a statement in it, and to so flippantly say, oh, it's just 60 grand that we're gonna make, that's $60,000 more than we have for any parking lot, and I agree. It might take a little bit of tweaking, because I'm on the front lines. People come into the office every day to yell at me. I'm like, I don't have a vote. I'm sorry, I'll listen to you. I'll listen to you all day, and I apologize, and I sympathize, and I get it. But we need to start moving towards having solutions rather than being oppositional to things. We also need to start deciding, because the writing's clear on the wall. So I just ask that you guys consider everything, and again, I'm not saying I'm for it or against it, just saying, as one of your constituents, I hope that you guys weigh everything out.
I think what I'm weighing is several things. There's confusion with this whole scenario. For instance, Mr. Edwards mentioned that it started with getting business owners off the street, but now you're saying it's to pay for parking.
Well, there's a world where both can exist.
Right, but the residents heard all kinds of different things. Is it for this? Is it for that? Is the village going under? We're 1.5 million. So it didn't roll out well. And I agree with your statement of not making quick decisions. You need data and info, which is exactly why I voted against it the first time around, when it was said, let the DDA go pick a company and implement it. And my personal opinion was, we represent the village and make those decisions, and I didn't think it was fair to put that on the DDA. And we do a lot of quick decisions like that, a lot. So I'm not saying paid parking is the answer or isn't the answer. I think there's other ideas and solutions. I was brainstorming with somebody and we came up with several different ideas. So we have to be thoughtful, but we also have to be clear. I don't think we were any of that on this paid parking, and we did a lot of damage in the community. And so I think if we can just listen to the residents and yet keep our focus of, we need to figure out how to keep business owners off the street and make us financially stable. And I don't think paid parking is going to answer a lot of those. Only 4 residents bought a parking pass. 4, that says to me that none of them want to pay to park to be on Main Street. That's a lot.
So, I do believe that there has been a single voice between the village and the DDA on the facts of this. It was even sent on a mailer to people's homes. This has been a 9-month, well, we're moving into a year now, process. It's not knee-jerk. There was background and data. This council itself made multiple motions, we adjusted ordinances. We all came into the room as a collective between the village board and the DDA. There has been effort and a singular voice. If there was more, it did not come from the village or the DDA.
The mailer that went out wasn't clear. I don't think that was necessarily helpful. So I disagree. And to, again, back to the point of allowing the DDA to pick an app and implement it without going through us, I think was originally probably one of our biggest mistakes. And I don't think it was right to do to them, and I can see why they don't want to collaborate anymore. Again.
Yeah,
If there's no more discussion,
Motion?
Yeah, we have a motion by Fowler, support by Parker to terminate the paid parking program. Do we want to put a date on that immediately, within 10 days, or is it, Mr. Fowler, I guess I'm looking for more clarification from you.
Immediately.
Well, is within contract terms, I would say, right? If there is a,
What is the contract?
if we have to give them so many days written notice within that time frame per the contract.
I guess, Mr. Clark, do you know if there's any verbiage as to?
I believe you have 2 different contracts. One, I believe, is between the DDA and Park Mobile. And I believe there is a separate agreement between the village and the DDA as far as the sharing of revenues. So I don't believe there was any notice in the contract between the DDA and the village.
I would think irregardless, if the council made a motion to no longer enforce this, it would be at that time. The contracts would be worked out, how they're worked out in the language.
But to Mr. Lucero's point, if there's a notice requirement in the agreement, then I would recommend that you honor it. Because disentanglement can be messy and painful, and so you want to eliminate as much of the messy and painful as you can. And I don't know.
So I could adjust my motion to within the terms of the contract? Terminate within the terms of the contract?
You can, and if Mr. Parker supports it, you can withdraw your motion. If Mr. Parker withdraws his support, you can
Add to it?
you can add to it, but it's gotta, whatever you wanna do, Mr. Parker has to agree to it or withdraw his support and let somebody else support it. But you've got a motion with a support. You can vote it up, vote it down. You can
Amend.
amend.
I'd like to amend the contract to
Amend the
terminate
motion.
within,
Amend the motion.
yeah, I'm sorry, amend the motion. Terminate within the terms of the contract.
I still support.
Okay, do we have any discussion with the amendment to the motion?
I'm looking at the contract that the DDA signed. Do you have that with you, Mr. Clark?
If it's in the package, I do.
It is. I went through it trying to find the termination wording, and the closest that I could find was on the front page, where it says termination at the bottom. But it also says, you know, material breaches and things, so if you could read that, let us know if that's it.
On their website, client, general terms and conditions, it's a lot, so I don't have to read all of it, but it mentions 30 days written notice by the breaching party, something about the breaching party paying any fees to Pork Mobile that they might have incurred as result of early breach, promptly returning all Park Mobile materials. That's about it.
Well, the potential difficulty is in the document itself, the termination, referring to what Mr. Kerr mentioned. Either party may terminate this agreement effective immediately on written notice to the other party, comma, if the breaching party materially breaches this agreement and such breach, and then it gives you choices, is incapable of cure, being capable of cure. And so somebody is going to be, if notice is given, somebody is going to be the breaching party. It's not going to be the Village of Romeo because you're not a party to the contract. So then the Downtown Development Authority would have to give notice. So it will be the breaching party. I don't know how happy Park Mobile's going to be about that. You can't terminate the agreement. You can terminate the enforcement of the agreement. You can say as a matter of public policy, we're not going to enforce this agreement. You have to decide among yourselves whether you think that's a good idea or not. And you also have the ancillary issue. It's not in a prominent position, but it's something to which you should give thought. Then what's the default position? Because you eliminated the time for parking on Main Street for the reasons that have been discussed. And the chief has correctly advised you can no longer chalk tires or do other things that would mark when a vehicle is moved or not moved. And so you may want to give some thought to, well, what happens when we have nothing?
At best, the parameters would be daytime, time of day.
Well, and again, I'm not suggesting what you should do, if anything, with respect to your parking ordinance, but if Park Mobile goes away, you have no limits on parking on North and South Main Street. Maybe that's a good idea, maybe it isn't. I don't know, I'm not expressing a policy provision, I'm just letting you know what the consequence of your...
Correct, and that's essentially what we had, and already, that's how we got to this issue.
Correct.
It was brought up that there is an issue because people park indefinitely because we can't enforce it.
Correct.
Okay, that was the motion with the amendment. Any more discussion?
So is the motion to terminate the enforcement of paid parking or to terminate the contract?
Yeah, Mark said we can't terminate contract with Park Mobile.
So should we say the enforcement of paid parking in the motion? I mean, it's Zach's motion, but.
Yeah. Any help I can get?
And also, I apologize, I don't have a copy of the agreement between the DDA and the village. I thought that was a and I don't mean to minimize it, but I thought that was in more of a cost sharing, the 10%, what the percentage, and the amounts intended to be garnered. I think if you're going to, if your position is, we're not going to enforce this, then I think you might want to, maybe not tonight, but address the issue with the agreement between the village and the DDA, because both of you, the village council and the DDA are parties to that agreement.
Correct, I agree. We would have, we'd have to do both, the contract and the ordinance. Anything that we undid, we have to go back around to. So. Any more discussion at the table?
What's that?
We can't vote on the current motion because we don't
Yeah.
own the contract.
Yeah, we can't terminate contract, but
We can, well,
Get terminate the enforcement.
we can terminate with the DDA.
we can.
Can I ask a simple question?
No, you may not. I apologize.
Public comments will be later. Sorry.
Public comment will be too late.
So,
Bless you.
Zach, what are you gonna, what's your,
I beg your pardon?
are you going to keep the motion as it is?
Yes, keep the motion in place.
Not DDA.
Which is, but we can't break the contract. If the contract is what the DDA has, we have to.
Okay, so we have to terminate with the DDA, is that what it is?
I'll withdraw my
This is either part of
support.
this agreement effectively immediately written notice, so we have to give the DDA written notice, or we can terminate it now to the DDA.
Based on the Park Mobile Service Agreement that's in the package tonight, the village is not a party to that agreement. So you cannot terminate that. You can encourage the DDA to terminate it if you would like, but you don't have the ability to terminate that agreement. And there is, and again, I think it was part and parcel of the arrangement, the agreement between the village and the DDA, you might want to look at that as part of whatever action you're taking. But again, that's your choice.
So my motion would be towards the DDA, this contract, to terminate it.
Well, I'm not going to suggest a motion. What I'm going to say is that you can't terminate the Park Mobile agreement, and you do have an agreement with the DDA.
So we can nullify our agreement with the DDA regarding the parking?
Well, you can breach the agreement with the DDA. You can say it's a nullity, but I don't know that the DDA is going to say that. You have a contractual relationship with the DDA over this entire arrangement.
But what we can control is not enforcing the paid parking.
You can. But I would suggest if you do that, that you be precise about it. There have been instances over the years where, as kind of a, I guess, a nudge or a wink and a nod, the council has said, well, you know, let's not enforce that 3-hour parking, or I really recommend against picking and choosing parts of ordinances or ordinances that you are going to enforce and you're not going to enforce. That can cause problems. Because you can, and again, I don't know that you can make a motion and decide you're not going to honor the agreement between the council and the DDA. The outcome of that or the consequence of that, I cannot tell you. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see into the future. But that would, in essence, relieve you, if you will, or relieve the police force of its need to write tickets. And so then you're going to have essentially, because of the adjustment in the other lots in the village, you're going to have free parking everywhere. And maybe that's a good idea, maybe it's not, I don't know. but that's what the outcome is gonna be.
So do I still do this in a motion as far as not honoring the contract between the DDA? I mean, or it's just out there? You're the attorney.
I'm the attorney, but I'm not making the motion.
No, I mean.
I know
I'm
better.
asking for myself, because I'm out there on the floor. So,
Well, I've told you.
the last part you just said, basically, not honoring the contract with the
Well,
DDA.
I've told you what the relationships are. There's a relationship between the DDA and Park Mobile. There's a relationship between the Village of Romeo and the DDA, all about the same subject. You revised your parking ordinance to accommodate this relationship. And so there are some relationships you can affect, and there are some that you cannot affect. And the one you can affect is between the village and the DDA, and you can decide, again, not necessarily tonight, but you can decide if you want to reinstate limits on parking, if you want to say, Wild West, wherever you hit your horse, that's fine. You have that ability to do that, but I'm not going to suggest what you do.
Okay, here, so I can get the wording right here. My motion is not to honor the contract between the council and the DDA regarding the Park Mobile Service Agreement.
Can you do me a favor, Mr. Fowler, rescind your other
Oh,
motion?
I apologize.
First.
Yes. I rescind the other motion to
Terminate paid parking
terminate the
program within terms of contract.
paid parking within,
So your motion is not to honor the agreement between the village and the DDA.
regarding the Park Mobile Service Agreement.
So, all right, you didn't have support yet, so.
Do we have support?
I'll support.
We have support by Parker. Do we have discussion?
If the collection or enforcement of paid parking ceases to happen, it's my understanding that the contract with the DDA is just about the cost sharing and collection of that money. We're not collecting it, we're not breaching that contract. Obviously, we'd want to address it down the road, but I don't know necessarily that we have to dictate or choose that we're going to breach that contract if we don't have to. At least that's my understanding of it.
Right, and my understanding is the same thing, and really what we can control is whether we're going to take a hiatus from enforcing this until we
Right.
can sort it out.
I think that's more the direction that this motion would probably have to go.
And then, because I have not seen the agreement between the village and the DDA, so I don't know what it is or what it ultimately ended up on paper.
Right.
And what it looks like and what the
Did you-
terms
We have
are.
it.
Did you
It's
miss
in
that?
October.
Yeah, did you miss
That was
that
the
meeting?
October one. That's the one that I said was unanimous.
Was trustee Rousseau not at that meeting?
No.
Is that the full
Yeah,
agreement?
that's the one, I think.
That's the one I was talking about. You were there.
I
Where it
got you,
talks
Jamie.
about the
So that's the
10%.
full agreement, we don't have anything else in writing, just that?
That is the agreement between the village and the DDA, correct?
Okay.
So hiatus means suspension, not termination. As
I
you
would
put it.
prefer to terminate, but we've got a lot of nuts and bolts to work out with the DDA. So if we can at least stop the paid parking for now and then work with the DDA.
I don't disagree with you, but that's not what the motion.
I know. I agree.
I'll restate the motion. Not to, motion by Fowler, support by Parker, not to honor the agreement between the village and DDA with regards to Park Mobile. I do think it's worth noting that in the agreement that you guys have, it doesn't specify Park Mobile, it just says paid parking.
Just a contract with DDA?
Yeah, the agreement
Specify Park
the
Mobile.
agreement from October just states paid parking. It doesn't specify a company or anything like that.
So
So
if we
word it
don't
just-
honor the agreement with the DDA, and the DDA continues to keep Park Mobile in place, then are they absorbing all the funds?
Well, if you're not enforcing it, there wouldn't be any.
Well, theoretically, I'm just,
But the motion in July was for them to implement it, and if they can continue to implement and charge, how does that work?
well, like we said, if we discontinue enforcement, they're not gonna have the funds, but if, next week an officer gives a ticket or something,
I mean,
what happens to that? I'm just trying to make sure I'm thinking of all of the different steps.
this line may answer it in the contract, whereas the village provides public parking within the area encompassed by the DDA, and the village regulates the public parking through village ordinances and enforcement of those ordinances by the police department. So it would be on our authority to choose not to enforce it, not the DDA's.
Correct, yeah, and that was the reason for that part in the agreement as a whole, not only the cost or revenue sharing, but that the village wasn't ceding any authority to somebody else as far as enforcing parking or what dates and times and limits on parking was going to be. And another question which you may ask yourselves, I don't know the answer, is that if the village police department doesn't write tickets, I don't know that that necessarily prevents people from pulling up to the curb and using the app and being charged. So then you're gonna, I think, have to decide, again, I don't know if you wanna do that tonight or not, but because you have control of the streets and sidewalks, do you wanna direct that all those signs be taken down? Because the village revenue part of it is twofold. One would be from parking tickets. You're not sharing the revenue from parking tickets with the DDA. And the other would be, the other component or part of it is the revenue the DDA shares from you, which it collects from Park Mobile. So again, actions have consequences. You just, again, I'm not expressing any policy opinion. You just have to decide what you're gonna do, realizing what the consequences of what you do are.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Clark? Who pays any penalties for breaching this contract with Park Mobile? Would that be on the village, or would that be on the DDA as a signer?
DDA. And you can't compel them to breach the agreement. In fact, I would strongly recommend against trying to encourage another person, entity, or company from breaching an agreement. That encouragement usually doesn't work out too well.
Just don't use it.
That's what I was wondering. What happens if Park Mobile doesn't make any money for the next 3 years?
Well, they have a startup fee and then they have transaction fees, so I mean, if the contract isn't breached, they just won't make transaction fees.
Right.
They've already sold the software, the equipment, whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah, we were more involved with this, and it was made very clear to us that while we're going into a 3-year, at any point, we could back out of this. That was, I don't know if you had made that comment, or if it was the DDA when it was presented, that at any point, stepping out of this contract wouldn't be an issue per their conversations with Park Mobile. So,
I don't remember. I believe that was, DDA member Lee who spoke, and that might have even been before we decided on Park Mobile. That might have been a conversation about the other app that we had previously identified. I don't remember if that was specific
no, I
to Park
remember when
Mobile
we
or
talked
not.
about the 3-year.
Was it Park Mobile?
It was, yeah.
I mean, that's between the DDA and
Yeah,
Park Mobile.
so I don't think we're putting them in a tough position. And for the $1,100 that's been captured, if they need that to help settle this, I don't see any issue with that.
We have to refund the $60 parking passes, resident passes.
Yeah.
Could we restate the motion, please?
Motion by Fowler, support by Parker, not to honor the agreement between the village and DDA with regards to park mobile.
You don't think that's sufficient, Nolan?
Again, like I said, the agreement does not specify park mobile, it just says pay parking.
So we have to eliminate park mobile out of that? Just to specify it?
You wanna make a motion?
My inclination would just be that the motion has to revolve around enforcement, not necessarily the contract with the DDA. Like I said, we're not breaching the contract with the DDA, we just wouldn't be capturing any additional funds.
I agree with that. I think that'd be the easiest way to do it. You take the signs down.
All right. Withdraw my motion.
I'll make a motion to suspend the enforcement of paid parking within the DDA district
And remove signs.
and remove signs, effective immediately.
Until, or just?
Just suspend.
I'll support.
We have a motion by Care, support by Parker. Do we have any discussion to the motion?
Let's vote.
Okay. Clerk Lucero,
Yes, I'm still writing that, sorry, but yeah, I'll get it later.
could you please call the roll?
I can. Bartholomew,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Rosso,
Yes.
Care,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Poznanski.
Yes.
Motion passes. So,
Okay, moving on to our bond funds captured. This was an item from trustee Rousseau, asked to be added.
Yeah, I
You have the
asked for an
floor.
update on how much we've captured.
The road, in regards to the road
No,
bond?
the clerk.
Yes.
The
Oh.
clerk's
I
bond.
apologize, did I
Gotcha.
say that?
No, I just misheard it.
Okay.
so I will report on that. Let you guys know, I reached out to our insurance carrier. We had a, what do you call it? We had made a claim. They admitted that they dropped the ball. That was around the time that President Poznanski was pulling dual duty, so it was all over the place. They dropped the ball, contact them, tell them exactly what we're looking for. They said they'll get it to me by Friday. Friday comes and goes, don't receive it. By Tuesday, I gave them Monday, still nothing. By Tuesday, I reached out to one of the management, expressed my displeasure that we still don't have these things, that they admit to dropping the ball. This is a claim that should have been covered. There's probably others that are gonna come out, but it doesn't instill confidence in our insurer. They can't even give me a call back for the data that we're seeking. So that's where we're at right now. I'm hoping that I can get something here soon. Now that I've talked to the gentleman's boss, he has been calling me left and right. It just so happens I have, it's always at a worse time, right? Like, there's never a better time that he's calling me. It just so happens that something else comes up, can't answer the phone. Try to call him, get his voicemail. So I'm trying to work on that.
So when you say they dropped the ball, does that mean they haven't processed the
They didn't
claim?
process it, and they denied it, and I asked, how did this become a denial? Because you never gave us any documentation.
I've been waiting, like, haven't
Yeah.
heard anything.
We have no documentation, and
It's because they closed it.
that is what he said to me. I'm sorry, I was swamped, I dropped the ball. And I said, that is not any kind of professional answer that I want to
But
hear.
they made
or
sure to
willing
ask us to
accept.
pay our premium on time.
Yes,
Yeah.
they tell us our premium is due on February 1st. We don't get an invoice till the March 10th, and they're hounding us for payment, but on this, I've been hounding him. Ever since you shot me that email, I have been hounding him, and it's been, it's to the point, I don't know who MML, if they have a pool of providers. If they do, it might be worth maybe throwing that shot across the bow and saying we are entirely dissatisfied with the service that we've gotten thus far and might consider looking into another provider within the pool. But I will tell you, I'm not happy with it.
Well, and we
at the very
received the
least.
report that we had gotten X amount of payout for the last year, and I said, okay, well, as the treasurer, did we get that money in? Because the insurance is claiming that they paid out on certain claims. We couldn't, and that explains why, because somewhere on their end, it seems as if they think they answered the question, but then somebody else in the other department just closed it.
Yeah, and it's literally a zero balance on claims. So they're claiming that we've had, over the last year, our insurance did go up a little bit, and they claimed it was due to the claims, but there's a zero
And
balance
if
on the
by claim you
claims.
mean I wrote in and made a claim,
But there was nothing paid out, so
So
you may have inadvertently, by asking me to dig into it, uncovered a whole nother headache that was kinda under the surface that we did not know existed.
So should we just table this?
Well, do you need to refile a new claim? If they denied it, then there is no
I don't know,
existing claim.
I don't know what we have to do, because I need to talk to the claims adjuster, and he has not been as responsive.
which I can
again.
do that, if that's
Right.
what's necessary. It's a form, I fill it out, it doesn't.
I just want to make sure we're not duplicating efforts or possibly screwing anything up by submitting another claim, and now it becomes a duplicate in their system, and then it
Do you
could,
have a claim number, as long as you?
no. I don't have it. When I say I have nothing, I mean I have nothing. They sent me something that had a zero balance with nothing really, no supporting documentation. That's when I was like, wait a minute, how can this be? So,
So
Okay.
this can stay unfinished and we can
It can, but what I'm,
get more information next month, so I'm assuming.
sure.
yeah, I mean, I'm not letting it die by any means. It's just,
Yeah.
I can't, I wish I had more answers for you. I just don't. I have no information to really present to you guys, because it's kind of where we stand. Until I talked to the claims adjuster,
Okay.
right now, all I have is emails that have been fired off to his boss. Like I said, stating the displeasure with this entire thing, and like I said, he was very quick to try and start calling me, but
Okay,
we're playing
so
tag.
an update next month?
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
absolutely.
If we don't get anything, could you include those correspondence that you've had with?
Yeah,
them, just
yeah, absolutely.
So we have something.
If I mean, hopefully I don't need to. Hopefully I
Yeah.
get something and you guys have something to look at next
Thank
month,
you.
but
Moving into our Village Hall electrical safety issue, this is also an item from trustee Rousseau.
so I included in your guys' packet Tim Dillon's report. There were some issues as far as, if you put that next to the OSHA report that came into, now the OSHA report has the police department on it, because they were coming out just doing a check on certifications and stuff, and then they wanted to walk the whole building. So that's where they identified, so it is filed under the chief, so if we don't, adhere to this, he actually gets hurt with it, so.
Is there a timeline on adhering to it?
Yes, we have 31 days from this, but I've been in contact with her, and she said it's not a solid 31. They just want to see, if there is no movement, we at least need to update them what we're doing. They identified, like I said, the same things that our inspector, Mr. Tim Dillon, identified, the junction boxes on the floor and stuff like that. He wants them up on the wall. When Mr. Mitten came out, we talked about throwing them in pipe and actually putting them above the desk so that we can actually move the desk into the wall so it doesn't create a cavern to lose a bunch of stuff. But there's a ton of receptacles on the floor that are just loose. And then going upstairs, actually Mr. Mitten saw some other things that he would like to change as well. Just in terms of some of the wiring and stuff, he would, for his peace of mind, he said he would rather have it in the flex cable and in some of the rooms that don't have actual walls.
Just for clarity, for everyone, could you identify who Mr. Mitten is and did he is
Yeah.
a licensed?
Yeah, he's, so Mr. Minton, he serves on our planning commission. It's Brian Minton. I had touched on him in my report that he came out. He is an electrician, a licensed electrician, and had offered to take care of these issues free of charge. The only thing the village has to do is pay for the components, material and stuff. So Mr. Dillon had said that he wants, because a lot of this stuff is either 1997 or older, he wants all new switches, outlets, and that's another reason why we have to, I've been trying to find some time to set up with Mr. Minton, because every fixture in the place, Tim wants dropped, and to make sure that all of the connections are secured in those fixtures, so all the ceiling fans, lights, you name it, he wants us to move over to LED, everything else. There were some in the police department where there was junction boxes above the ceiling that didn't even have cover plates. And then there were, like in dispatch, getting all of those up off the floor, and then also getting the power banks that are the backup systems, getting those off the floor. So Mr. Minton had actually spoke with one of our dispatchers, Ms. Gerson, and took into account what she was saying as well, like that when we come in and clean, they're sloshing water around, and that could create an issue where these power boxes just die, and then if something happens, you don't have your battery backup anymore and the system goes down. So he's addressing that too. He's gonna be lifting those up. So yeah, it's just fine tooth combing, and then going towards the records room upstairs, and I talked to them about, you know, my fears, and the same thing I've talked to you guys about with all the paperwork being around the furnace, and she said, since it shares the same room, you have to be 20 feet away, not just 3 feet, but 20 feet. And we don't have 20 feet there, so one way would be possibly just drilling a wall through the center of that room, so if there is a delineation, then we're good. If we have that wall with a separate access for a mechanical room, so it's just about shuffling all of the, you know, the 20, 30,000 blueprints that we have around that. They want those moved out, and so it's probably gonna require us, and we can get it done. I mean, even if we had, I asked her any kind of delineation, she's like, you know, you could build a wall, you could have glass paneling, just something that offers some kind of barrier between those two zones, because yes, it's the same worry that I've addressed, that we're just drying out these papers and they're becoming kindling. So if we can move them out, we're good. But like I said, as long as we're contacting her and staying up, and she said, now that you're in the system, my partner may come out. If he does, just show him this report and he'll be cool, and he won't try to throw the book at you. It just shows that you guys are addressing it. So, and then on top of that, we just had to identify every chemical that we have in the building, just in case there's some kind of exposure, they can identify what that exposure might be.
Okay.
So that's the update.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Moving on to our second public comment. Once again, we have 3 minutes at the podium. You are free to speak on anything you would like.
I'm Kim Ambro, and I live at Villa Court in Washington. I just wanted to thank all of you for your vote tonight. It really, really helped, and I'm sorry it had to come to this much, but I'm very happy about the results. Thank you.
So I just want to make a quick comment. We all don't always agree. We don't always see eye to eye, but the name calling and the distasteful comments, there's no reason, there's no need for that here. Me and Megan don't see eye to eye often, but she doesn't deserve that. She doesn't. I feel she does do a good job. She's a hard worker, but we don't always agree. If we could keep the negativity and the distasteful comments and remarks to a none, right? That would be great.
appreciate you saying that, and you are my friends. We do disagree. It doesn't mean I'm never gonna come into your shop again. It's just there.
No, and we
But
appreciate you.
yes, we can all disagree, and I appreciate the gentleman that came earlier, Mr. Shotwell, and just spoke his mind. We don't need to add the extra into it, no matter what the disagreement is. I understand, emotional, heated, whatever it might be, but it's uncalled for, and it's not okay. You
Well,
have
I
3
just
minutes,
wanted
Marty.
to say thank you all. And maybe in the future, maybe we can find a better way to track the data. Only because if you think about it, we have the middle school down the street that they're up and down Main Street, and their cell phones are going off all day long. So I'm sure that
Well,
heightens
that's
the,
why we did it for 10 minutes or longer, so it won't catch those.
yeah, they hang downtown. They hang, they do, they hang, they do. They do. So just an idea, something to think about for later, but thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comment?
I just got something, and I just want to say that I'm going to do everything. I'm going to send out some type of letter from town hall to the tenants, to Shader Roofing, to all the employees, tenants, not to park in, some of them, I have a couple ladies that are 80 years old. They have to walk from the parking lot to the store. But other than that, I have asked Shannon, I'm ready to get out so that hopefully it'll take some of the ease off.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Takes a village.
Hi again, Sharon Smith. I also don't like the name calling. I don't know who it was that called you a witch. It was not called for. And I think a lot of the stuff that it's, the social media, people hiding behind keyboards who had a lot of nasty things to say about the DDA. I didn't agree with paid parking. It's not personal, it's paid parking, and I hope that we can all still be friends, people who are on the DDA. I do want to say, though, that I noticed the verbiage was to suspend paid parking. We're going to be watching, and we want to make sure that this ends up going away, because it's not good. It's not what the village wants or needs right now. And I also just want to do a shout out, Megan, hearing that you asked Congressman McLean for that amount of money. Thank you. That is really, really.
I'm 100% confident that we will get it. I see no reason why we wouldn't.
Yeah, I think that deserves some applause. Thank you.
I would like to personally thank this council for the decision that you made tonight, and hopefully we can all be friends again. That's what Romeo's all about, right? We're neighbors, we're friends, we're community. I'd like to personally thank Trustee Kerr for taking a couple hours out of his time to sit and talk with me, Trustee Parker, who has taken time out of his schedule to talk to us, and I know Trustee Rosso has also taken time to communicate with people. That's so important. I hope that we'll be looking to see that you contact the DPW right away, so people aren't being using the app at all immediately. I will personally, as a representative of the Romeo Against Paid Parking, will announce to them that what happened here tonight, and they will be very happy, those hundreds of people, and again, have us come together as a community again. Yes, I also noticed that it was a suspend, so we won't disband yet. I look forward to disbanding. I've told you, if you don't want to see me up here anymore, then just get rid of the program. So I will say I'll miss you, but I won't miss you. And we look forward to, once it is permanently taken away, to having a shirt burning party. And as far as one last thing, this problem I know started with the businesses who are allowing their vehicles to be parked. Do what Shelby Township and other your local townships do, and create an ordinance. I know in Shelby Township I've gotten cited for having decals on my vehicles and parking on the roads. follow their rule, follow them, and create an ordinance that just doesn't allow it anymore. People don't like it, and then you won't have those parking lots taken up. But thank you again for that, and I look forward to not having to address this anymore. I look forward to this being over with. Thank you very much.
Any more public comment?
Danielle Lee. Just a couple things. We weren't unwilling to rejoin the subcommittee meeting or group, but it was clear that this board was making those decisions, and the work that we had already done was done. There wasn't much more we could do with that. The DDA continues to want to work with this board. We've already put out a bunch of money to have a contractor and the team come out and look at what it's gonna do to fix our sidewalks, what we need to do for that. We're not gonna be able to do that work unless we get your approval, right? We asked for money to look at the parking lots and see how much that was gonna take to get those fixed, and you denied that. Claiming that we had damaged the community and that our mailer wasn't clear. I'm not sure at what point it wasn't clear, but never got any questions on it. So I'm not sure when that happened, that's fine. I also wanted to clear up, the act was not decided by the DDA. It was decided in the subcommittee. So that was not the DDA making a decision all on their own. It was the people on this board and the DDA board. It's clear this board was gonna find a reason to be done with this, and that's fine. There were over 1,000 transactions that worked for this Park Mobile and people using it. You have the data in front of you that shows an uptick in the population coming through here, and you still found a way to poke a hole in it, and you were going to no matter what. So I look forward personally, in your next budget meetings, hearing from you what your plan is to fix the parking lots and to get that money, because I still haven't heard any solution. So I look forward to that as a resident and not getting my taxes raised. And I hope the same group that's here excited to fight for no paid parking will also be here when us residents have to pay a higher tax. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm gonna say this really quick. I would love to take part in any raising money for sidewalks, roads. If you need businesses, I feel like this is a small community, and I feel like we could all get together and figure something out. So if that's needed, I'd love to come and help and brainstorm a way of making money to do this for your community. And if it needs our businesses to do that, then I think all of us, and you should invite, maybe start another committee or some subcommittee of businesses who want to help. But I feel just being angry, like, isn't gonna help. Let's do that. I'm at Town Hall Antiques 7 days a week. Come on, see me, because I will brainstorm. I will help. Thank you.
Okay, I just have a couple comments. I do want to remind everybody that this conversation originally started as an effort to reduce the PILOT fees. And while there's a lot of concern that this has just been suspended, I'd like to remind everybody this board only suspended PILOT fees. So that'll be the next thing coming back on the market of one of the options for us. Additionally, addressing the shortage of village funds to maintain lots and to address the parking. We still don't have a solution, right? We still have crumbling parking lots. Trustee Kara literally said it last month. The money has to come from somewhere. And I have heard everybody on this board jump on the bandwagon to down paid parking without another solution. Not true. The board members, several board members have suggested now charging the existing businesses. and giving them a multi-thousand-dollar fee to just exist and go towards parking. So I hope you're ready for that to come. To now hear that this board members it's unreal to me that there's no plan other than to go back to charging the businesses who've just come to you and asked you to not charge their clients. More disappointing is that this board did not look at any facts, and you were so easily swayed by a campaign that presented no facts. You have the reports in front of you, and you chose to, again, like Danielle said, not believe them. Now we're gonna say who's holding the phone. This is from, I think, Placer AI. It is a nationally recognized program. This wasn't me standing downtown with a clicker guessing how many people came to town. But now Placer AI, which cities use everywhere, is not good enough for the village of Romeo. This decision of this board tonight, in my opinion, as a resident and as a DDA board member, has severely damaged the relationship between the village and the DDA. The good faith communications and efforts that the DDA entered to on your behalf, and we manage this program on your behalf, to be cast aside so quickly after so many months is really disappointing. There is now no protection for parking. There is now no protection to bring back the pilot fees because you've only suspended them. And the board has no ability, the board has the ability now to assess businesses and residents' fees and taxes to take care of the parking lots that your board has acknowledged you cannot do. What is your plan now? And I look forward to hearing, how are you going to do this? Because I think that your ability to partner with the DDA,
You have 10 seconds.
you may have very difficulty with that in the future. But what is your plan now? Are you going to charge the businesses, or are you going to charge the residents? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any more public comment? Well, with that, do we have a motion to enter into closed session?
Motion to enter into closed session.
Support.
Motion by Parker, support by Rousseau. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any opposed? If we could ask the room to please if we could all pass your information this way.
Yep.
Yes, trustee Fowler, what did you say?
Motion to adjourn? No.
Support? No, we gotta vote on something, don't we, or not?
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
I guess you're right.
We had a motion
To
to
adjourn,
adjourn by
yep.
trustee Fowler and support by Bartholomew. Do we have discussion on that?
You can adjourn, but you have to give an answer within 5 days.
5 days. Call a special
We
meeting.
still need to determine
Yeah.
who's gonna do that and when we're gonna meet. and
I would
all that
call a
stuff.
special meeting.
So would you like to rescind that motion and make it,
Rescind your motion, yeah.
Rescind the motion to,
So we're gonna make this decision right now? that we're-
no,
No,
but you
just
have to make a
rescind-
decision on what you're gonna do moving forward.
I'm
Rescind
willing-
your motion to adjourn.
I'm willing to make a motion
I rescind my
towards
motion.
that.
All right, he rescinded his motion. You have the floor, Justin.
Okay, I'd make a motion to reduce the written to a verbal.
is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll give you a second.
Do we have any discussion?
So we're just going verbal reprimand to
I
the,
apologize. Motion by Parker,
there
support by
any
well, is that
Fowler.
acceptable to the,
No.
is that acceptable to the opposite party? I guess
For
that's the
the
question. There's no sense in
contract
going
and
through the steps. if it's not
And the
acceptable.
steps, how it's documented.
But there's
That
no
would be the first step.
documentation of a verbal.
I'll
No.
give my second. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Clerk Lucero, could you please call the roll?
Bartholomew?
No.
Edwards?
No.
Russell?
No.
Care?
No.
Fowler?
Yeah.
Parker?
Yes.
Poznanski?
No.
2 to 5, motion fails.
Motion to adjourn?
Well, we need to decide, we need to reply within 5 days. So we need to have somebody to make a motion of when our response and direct the person.
Make a motion to deny the grievance.
Support?
We have a motion by Care, support by Fowler to deny the grievance.
I thought,
Zach got it in first.
And to support the written reprimand, and to support the written reprimand?
Yep, just
Well,
as,
just
just deny their,
Just deny the
Okay.
grievance.
yeah,
Okay, do we have any further discussion on that motion?
no.
No? Could you please call the roll? Clerk Lucero? I wrote it down so I remember.
Yeah. Fowler?
Yes.
Care?
Yes.
Parker?
no.
Russell?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Poznanski?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-1.
And do we have a motion to
This man's been saying it for the last 10
To-
minutes.
to direct a member of the board?
Motion to direct Mark Clark to
Support.
respond to the grievance.
Support.
We have a motion by Parker, support by Care. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Trustee Fowler.
Motion to adjourn?
Support.
Motion to adjourn by Parker, support by Fowler. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Just do that, guy.